people know that WDSF is something to do with the Olympics. They know you get points and they know there's some sort of ranking system. Besides that, I don't know that anyone outside of the competing breakers know really in depth what's happening.
A lot of breakers don't even really know the system.
What's up, everyone? I think we're good to go. Welcome to the capsule. We have Sofia again, as usual, in the producer's chair. Hi, Sofia.
What's up, Sofia?
Hi. We have a b-boy turned journalist.
Yeah, I don't call myself a journalist.
You don't call yourself a journalist?
You know what? Because I only do it for breaking, and because I only do it for breaking.
Yeah, you're a breaking. You're a specialist.
Yeah, specialist journalist.
But you write for Red Bull.
Yeah.
And you have your own thing still?
Yes, I haven't done a lot on my own thing in a while, but I want to get back to it. I need to. I believe there's stuff that needs to be talked about, which Red Bull isn't there to talk about because I'm there to do what they need me to do, and so
And you want to do the
uncensored real talk.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, we'll get to some of that today.
Yeah.
And we have the champion, the UK Bboy B-Girl champion. The UK Bboy champion, B-Girl champion. B-Girl Stefani, thank you for being here. Super happy. We've spoke about you loads on the pod. I feel like every 2 weeks we talk about you.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, happy to have you here. Obviously fresh off the win at UK Bboy Championships.
So
How was it? How do you feel?
It was cool.
Yeah.
I was ready to win.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's always nice to win. Yeah, I went there for this winning, so I've been super prepared.
Yeah.
And it's really nice.
So you were going into this one thinking like, I'm coming for the win.
Yeah, because actually I made the post on Instagram, maybe someone saw, that I made... it was my third UK champ.
Yeah.
And when I began breaking, the UK champ was the event which I wanted to visit the most. And the first time when I came to UK champ, I lost in the final to Tara. And it was like, I don't know, it's always worse to lose in the final than like in top 16. So, when like, they hold your hands and it's not yours, up.
I got something to ask about that actually, but go on.
And my second one was last year, and I've been 5.5 months pregnant, I think, and I made top 8, and it was like wow.
I think we spoke about that as well.
Wow.
One of them,
and this time I just thought that there's no more excuses, I have to go and have to win. So yeah.
Sick. And you said it's like your 5th battle back after having a kid?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think 5th. Yeah, or 6.
Is this like you did some WDSF ones?
I did 3 or 4. Okay. I did 4 WDSF in this one. Yeah, 5th. Oh no, I made like my first one was a month and a half after having baby.
Yeah.
And it was like small event in Cyprus, and I took first place.
That's the one we spoke about. Then Lee was
but it was small. But
I mean, but even to be dancing, I'm like, I can't dance a month and a half after like a neck injury or something. You know what I mean? I'm like, I slept funny. I'm out for 2 months. But that's sick. What were you gonna ask about
Because there's a thing that like it's a bit the raising of the hands.
Yeah, raising. Yeah.
It's like it's an intense moment, right?
Yeah.
And then I started thinking like, is it fair on the dancers to do that? Because when you watch it, and I'm the type of person that always looks like at the things people ain't looking at. I don't look at the dancer who wins. I look at the dancer who doesn't win.
Yeah.
And you look at and you kind of like feel for them every time. Like I've been there. We all been there dancing, and you're like. And then I was like, I get it. You do this for the anticipation, for the audience to be like 5, 4, 3.
And isn't it like a boxing thing? Is that where that came from?
I'm not sure. They do it in MMA. They do it in boxing. They do it on all those things. But it's like as the most intense moment, I think, like you say, you're in the final. And I've been in battles where we know or I know of one crew, whatever, but then you have lost in that hand raising. So then it gets to the point where you get there and you're like, I think I smoked that battle. Like I won that. And then it goes like 5 and you're like, I won 4, maybe I didn't 3. What are these judges gonna do? 2. And then you're just like, what? And no matter what, how good you think you've done, you don't know until your hand goes up. And some judges do the dickhead thing. I'm sorry, it is, they need to stop. Can I swear?
Yeah.
Some judges raise both hands and then put one down. And if you watch the dancers, they all think they won. Some go halfway and then raise one. And I'm like,
that's
no.
That's like, you know, when someone's judging like this and then they do like,
and you're just like,
it's like, just pick someone, just don't fuck with me.
So I was like, obviously, you know, you're competing. Like, what do you think as well? That hand raising.
To be honest, I don't really like it. Because these feelings is really bad. And the other side that for the dancers who take a second place, like, I mean, second place is so cool. But with this hand raising, it's like you're nothing, you know. If they didn't like put your hand, it's like you're like no one. You made a really bad job. And it's not cool. At all. So I really prefer like this or
even
not raising the.
When you do like because at Red Bull last year in New York, both battles in the finals came down to the last vote. The last vote, both of them. So it was intense. And even though the card thing, people can say the pros and cons of that, but when you think of just the concept of it, at least as a dancer, you see, oh, well, at least I got a vote. So you don't feel like I'm nothing. You're like, oh, that judge voted for me. And then it comes down to the last one and you kind of go, okay, I lost, but on 2 votes to 3. And it's kind of the same we have here, because when you do the hand raise and the WDF do it, the WDSF do it, anyone who uses the system, I think in every event they all do the last battle, they don't show the score till the end. They always hold on.
Because they do the hand raise and then the points come up on the screen. So then you have to look and be like, oh, okay, it wasn't that bad.
But no one looks at the points because you know who won. And if you lose,
and in that moment, everybody's already celebrating and stuff. Nobody's like,
so you don't turn around as the dancer that lost and go, oh, well, I got 1 point because you just feel like you lost. And like you say, I think that's what makes the finals worse. It's not because you can't really celebrate getting second place, because you feel like because at no point throughout the whole battle do they ever like just go, well, you lost day 1, you know. But then the WDSF Olympics is kind of a different thing, because even if you lose, you have the ceremony where you get your second place medal. So now you feel a bit better. You're like, oh, well, I got second place and this is something I can take home. And so I think if you're going to do the hand raising thing, because again, there's pros and cons to everything. So it's not just I wouldn't just be like, okay, don't do it, because I know why they do it. But I think we need to acknowledge the second place because it's very emotional. We know dance is emotional. And we know breaking, you work super hard. Like you're there, UK champs, you're there from 11, 12. You get your hand raised at maybe 8, 9. This is 9 hours of work. And so it's like, I feel for the other dancer. And I think there should be a way to be like, you lost, but you know you got second, right? Like, here's your prize. Because sometimes second place gets prized, but they don't get it then.
Because you know what they could do as well is like the, I guess it's like, maybe they do it in like gymnastics or some sports like that, where they do like, because I think it's WDSF where they battle for third place, right? But let's say they did the battle, they did the finals, don't announce anything, and then they announce like, okay, 4th place, blah blah blah, 3rd place, blah blah blah. So then you can actually celebrate, like you're like, oh, I got 2nd place, you know what I mean, or in that type of way, and then you can have your moment, get your whatever, take your pictures, and then it's like, okay, 2nd place, 1st place, maybe something like that.
And it's like, and it is tense. We all know someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. Like there's a thing where it's like you'll never get past that, you know. And when you're in the final, you almost made it, and you're like, yeah. But I do think that moment, and again, I'll challenge people to go watch battles, but stop looking at the winner. Look at the one that loses, and you'll start to get it, and you'll start being like, wow, it's a bit peak for that dancer, and it's not because they lost. It's kind of because you can see at that moment, no one's really like, well done for 2nd place.
Yeah.
You know, even at Red Bull when Lee lost in the final, the thing that was dope was his whole crew were there, and his whole crew they flew to New York to see him battle. Sick. And they all made sure to jump on stage and hug him, and like his whole crew was hugging him when he lost, because he felt it, you know. It was and
it's true what you said, like 2nd place is still really dope. Like especially in the big competitions, it's like to get to second place is like insane. But yeah,
get to the final more than 1 year in a row, like you know.
It's really the dancers really deserve who take it second place. Something.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah, I wonder. It's like stuff like that you don't think about until you're in that position. You know, like you get there and then your hand isn't raised and you're like, they should change this.
Give me something.
Yeah.
But I think you gotta be a dancer as well, because only when you're there and you feel it that you start to realize the feelings that come up. And so when you see other dancers do it, you know, like again, you can say like Sunday, I know Julie was there for Mad Max. Like she was there and when she lost, she gave her a hug. I was talking to Mad Max in the back because she lost, and it's like, you're emotional at that point. And, and I was like, because I've known her for years. So I was like, yo, as soon as she walked off stage, I made sure to go and talk to her, make sure that, you're cool, talk about, because you don't want that dancer just to, because she's here, she's not like the people from Belgium that she hangs around with aren't really here.
Yeah.
So, so it was like, okay, I know I'm going to make sure that, she's cool and she's okay, and not she's just going to walk off in the back and just have to be like, okay, I've lost, there's no one here for me, and I'm just dealing.
Because being in another country is also something, it's like if you lose at home where you have all your people there, that's one thing, but losing in another especially something like you said, like in the finals, it's almost worse. But like that, when you're not around anyone and then you just have to go sit in the back and everybody has their friends and you're like, well, I've got a flight in 4 hours. You're just chilling, like it's not so fun.
And people are like, you killed it, and then you want to go, but I lost, man.
Yeah.
Like you killed it doesn't really soften the blow, so you kind of got
and you don't get that celebration like on the stage, I guess, as well,
because everyone else is taking their pictures,
which I get what you mean, like with the Olympic thing, when you have the top three, at least, okay, even if you did third place, you're still getting celebrated at the end, like here's our top three. In that moment, yes, that other person got celebrated, but these are the three best in the competition. That's still amazing, blah blah, which I think should be the way. But and you did, I'm just looking at Primal Instincts battle now. You did cruise as well.
Yeah, this is my second round.
How was that? Were you only focusing on the solo? Or were you like,
actually,
I have to?
Yeah, always. To be honest, when I do the crew, I feel more responsibility. So I know that like I have to be really cool for them. So I'm trying to do always my best with so much energy and trying to do my best stuff.
Yeah.
And this one I think was really good. I'm sad that we lost, but yeah, our squad this year wasn't as good as last year. So, but we made really good job, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So are you thinking, like when you're training for this, are you thinking like, right, I've got to like space out my rounds, so like even when you win or you get to the finals, you're like, okay, job's not done, I've still got to do cruise?
Yes.
So you're kind of thinking, all right, it's still going.
It happened last year because I lost in the top 8, and we made till the final with the crew. So I've been thinking like, okay, like I didn't lost, I have my crew battle yet, so yeah, I try to put all my energy and power on that one.
And are you planning rounds per se, or are you kind of deciding in the moment? Like, are you thinking, I've got these certain things, like, I don't know, you can maybe help me on this. I'm just thinking from a top styler perspective as well. But like, are you thinking, okay, I've got these certain things that I'm going to throw?
Yeah, I always plan.
Like my best stuff. So then I'm like, okay, if I'm in the finals of the solos, but I think I can win this without my best stuff, I might save that for the cruise. You know what I mean? Or you're like, okay, how do I decide on these things?
Yeah, I always try and do not repeat stuff, for me it's really important.
Even across categories?
Yes, because I have enough stuff, so I want to show...
Light flex.
Like, yeah. And I really plan my rounds because it always depends of opponent. If I see who I battle with, and I'm trying to analyze what I have better than they have, and how can I take them. And
and I think with that you got like when you do cruise and you double up, you do have to be careful because judges see you twice.
Yes,
and if they see you twice, technically, you know, you can do the same round in the crew and the solo. It's two different battles.
I was gonna say, is it technically repeating if it's across different categories?
But sometimes as a judge, like when you judge, I've judged crews and solos, and you see them twice, and you have to be very careful because you might see them do something, and then you're like, oh, but did they do that in the crew or did they do that in the solo? So you know, so it's like you've got a judge.
So you might make a mistake and think they were repeating when they weren't.
And then you go back later and you're like, oh no, they did that in the crew, not the solo.
I just know that I've seen them do it.
Yeah, so it's like, and then when you're watching like you've got to think of how many battles the judges watched, you know. So if Stephanie's going like, okay, they lost in the top 8 here, but she's going all the way to the final in the solo, so they're seeing her a lot now, you know. Plus they would have seen her in the prelim twice, and so so in the end, if a judge isn't really on point, they might make that minor mistake and go, oh no, you was repeating.
And it's not even like you know, not necessarily that they're not on point, I think, but it's just like you still have human judges, like, and we have them for a reason, because otherwise, like we were talking about like gymnastics and stuff, where it would be like you could almost get AI at this point to like be like, oh, that's a flare, 10 points, that's a this 6 points, you know what I mean? Like whereas like the reason we have human judges is for their comprehension and understanding, but also kind of it's parallel where it's like you have the creativity and the compassion and the understanding to get the whole picture, but with that comes human flaw that you're gonna, you know, you might not know, get confused or whatever.
And also, like as breakers, as Stephanie said, I don't think any breaker wants to repeat all day. You do crew, you do solo, you still don't want to repeat. And there will be some judges, to be honest, that will say, it doesn't matter, you still shouldn't repeat. Like they don't want to see you do the same round ever or the same stuff throughout the day, you know. And it's a discussion that they had in the Olympics as well with round robin. They were like, and first day, second day, because the events are 2 days, and so you know you discuss, can they repeat on the second day, and then you go, and then you've got a round robin on the second day. Can you repeat from the round robin, because the round robin is, you know, you do 3 battles and then you go into a knockout battle. So it's a discussion that they always have to have. And to be honest, the main thing everyone says is just, you know, if you have to repeat, then you have to, but you should be trying your hardest not to repeat.
What about like variations of moves? So if you're doing like, let's say I'm going to sound uneducated on this type of thing, but like, let's say you do like flares or windmills or something, but you have like different variations each time. Does that still feel to a judge or to a breaker? Like, do you think, I already did flares, like, or I already did windmills or whatever, like, or if you're changing the type of thing that you do with it, is that like a completely new move, or is it somewhere in between?
Yeah, because I have like different variations of different moves and like different transition on these moves. So for me, it's completely different combo. So and I have different ways how to do it. So so this is a different move.
And is it also like if it's part of a, maybe not a set, but like you're moving from one move into let's say there's 3 moves, you're doing one move, you need this portion of the move to get into the next one. So that move in the middle, you're like, it doesn't count as repeating because it's not the main point of what I'm trying to do. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know if you can help me explain that better. Like, if you need, let's say, I don't know, if you need, oh God, I'm sorry.
An example
I know nothing with breaking.
Is Little G, right?
Okay.
Little G, a lot of his stuff comes from like flare, air flare.
Yeah.
So the air flare is like, it's crazy, but his air flare is just a transition.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, and then he does all the stuff out of the air flare. So over the course of a battle, he might do a lot of air flares, but that's his 6 step. You know what I mean?
It's like you're doing the air flare to make the point of the next move. Instead of like someone coming out, doing stuff, building up, doing an air flare and then stopping. If you do that 5 times, it's like, okay, we did. You repeated.
It's hard. It's hard because I say this to dancers, to breakers, because you all go through it, and then sometimes they just say you repeat. And the consistent thing, I always say this: the bigger the move, the more obvious it is if you're gonna do it more than once. You know what I mean? Now variations are cool, but you have to remember you're battling someone else, right? So now if say you're battling Phil Wizard, who has like just a freaking so many moves, you know? It's so many moves. And then you're someone who your 6 step is an air flare. You might get all the way to the final, but now in the final against Phil Wizard, you will look like you're repeating, even if you're doing variations. The only reason is because he's not actually repeating that same like move in a variation. He's doing different. You're now doing variations of a flare or an air flare, and and an air flare is a big move. So judges in their head might go, well, I've seen you do air flares and it's a variation, but I've seen you do it. That was a new freeze from Phil, a new tech, a new this, a new that. So it all comes down to, so I say you're taking a chance if you start repeating big, obvious, if you're doing flare variations. Well, it also, you're taking a chance depending on who you're battling.
Yeah, and I think it also comes down to like, that's like in terms of strategy against someone, that's taking it from like, okay, what, like you were saying about like, oh, what moves do I have better than them?
Yeah.
With people like Phil, I guess it's got to be like, or anyone at that level, you've got to be like, okay, it's not about what moves I've got better than them. It's like the whole thing. It's like, all right, well, Phil has more variation, but maybe I'm way, like, maybe I'm talking shit, but like, maybe I'm way stronger in the moves that I can do. Yeah. He's got loads of different moves, but they're all at this level. I've got 3 moves, but they're all at this level. You know what I mean? Or like someone where it's like, okay, they don't have as much like power stuff as me, but they're never going to crash because they're more safe. So I'm going to play a more risky game and balance them in that. So you're not going move for move anymore. You're going more like, how do I say that? Like, not theme even. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know what you mean. You're going more for like, because at the end of the day, you kind of got like 2 strategies. Like Stefani was saying, if I can do something better than you, I'm going to do it. Yeah. If I can't do it better than you, I need to do what I do better than how you do what you do.
Yes.
You know? And it's like, so yeah, and that's the strategy. I think if you can, again, like Stefani said, you should be trying to do better than that person. Yeah. Because if you lose to them, the majority of time you lose to someone is because they could do something better than you. If you watch most battles, when you get to the higher levels and all that, it's like, no, they're better at this thing, or they had something extra than you. That's all that really happens, you know? On the lower levels, it's a lot more easier. You're just like, well, Alvin's power is crazy. He's going to smoke this person because but then you get to like Alvin, Phil, Wizard in the final, you go, well, Alvin's got crazy power, Phil's got crazy originality. But then you start going like, okay, if they're both like this on that, then it starts to edge when you start going, okay, who's showing me new stuff? And
that's where the judging is really hard, because it's like, there's like, and this is what we were talking about as well, about the judging, where it's like, it is, no matter how extensive the judging system is, it's like, how do you rate what's worth more? Like Phil Wizard's like creativity or Alvin's power. It's like, they both have it on this sort of level. Yeah. So it's like, fuck, like, how do I say, well, his power is better than his creativity? Like, to compare those 2 things is really tough. And I'm sure Renegade has an extensive answer for what I just said. But like, do you know what I mean?
He'll be like, let's
so, well, actually, we have something.
Because you got the artistic, but you do have the physical and artistic. So I would say, like, again, I've done the threefold, studied it. But artistically would be the originality, the dynamic, the physical would be the dynamic side. But you still have to give points to, you have to assign points to either of those things. That's a whole different thing. Right. Because that's when it does come down to subjectivity as to what you feel is the higher. Like, one judge might say, no, Alvin's, physicality is higher than his originality. And someone goes, no, I feel Wizard's original. And this is when it comes down to this. And it's like, but here's the thing. This is one thing that, like, if you put that aside, you look at like humans, and you kind of look at again how Stefani approached the final, right? Because she came out each round, and each round she threw a big power move, right? Okay. She came out. You think you done a 2000 round, the second round, the first round. I think you done tombstones. The last round you done like a munch holding your foot.
You can remember your rounds better than you. You're like, I don't know.
But I watch breaking. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy for me that people don't remember that stuff. Yeah. I'm like, well, how do you not remember? But you know what I mean? So she came out and she started with something big, and that's good because it straight away shows that she's in it. She's like, I'm coming for the win. I'm throwing something big. And one thing that I do say to people, I'm like, if you really look at breaking and you look at what makes people go, whoa, spinning moves with velocity usually beats static moves. So if someone comes out and someone does 10 flares, after 2 flares, you're kind of like, all right, where's this going? Right. If someone comes out and does a head drill, 10, and they spin 10 times, After 2, you're like, holy shit, they're still spinning. Do you know what I mean? It's kind, you know what I mean? So it's like, if someone comes out and does like 10 air flares, after 2 air flares, you're like, where's this going? If someone comes out and does a 90 and after 2 90s, they're still spinning, you're like, holy shit. And it's just like, I think it's just human beings. When you see someone spinning for a long time, you think this is crazy. When you see someone balancing, because a flare move and an air flare, don't get me wrong, it's like, I can't air flare. So I'm not trying to say these moves are easy before someone's like, oh man, you can't do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm just, evaluating the moves. A flare and an air flare are balancing turning moves. They're balancing turning. So after a while, you can, and it's a big open move, so you can kind of see the shape. Spinning moves, no matter what.
You don't even know what's happening.
You just can't believe this person's still spinning.
I feel like that about the move that is it Munch Mills? That you were saying that Stefani did?
Yeah, but she done it. Yeah, she done it. I think she done Munch and a Munch holding her foot at one point in the third round.
Don't know the difference, but like for me, when I watch you do that, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening. Like,
yeah, you see,
you know what? This is why, like, funnily enough, since I've been doing the capsule stuff, right, I've got more into like breaking, and I'm watching I know way more about breaking than I ever knew in my life. But I'm trying to keep a little distance from it because I love that feeling. I love to watch you do that and be like, I don't know what I'm looking at, but it looks so cool. And like, say with like popping or like the illusions are lost to me because I know exactly how to do all of the stuff. So there's nothing that it takes away the magic a little bit. I see a wave and I'm like, I know exactly how that could be better. With yours, I'm like, I couldn't even begin to, I'm like, you go maybe on your shoulder or maybe on your front. I have no idea what that even is. And I love that magic of just like, she's spinning. It just looks cool.
And everyone loves it because then, without fail, if you start to watch battles, you start to kind of see the trend, and you're like, there's certain dynamics that if you use them, they will always like blow up. They will always be. If I'm battling Stefani and she comes out and drills a 2000, in my head I'm already like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, I now have to come out and do another like, firstly I'm like, do I have a spinning move? If I can do a head drill, I need to do that. If I can 90, I need to do that. But if I don't have another move, which is like a velocity move, I know already that move, that portion of her round is probably going to be at least the one portion of my round. And if you say the round's like beginning, middle, and end, I'm like, well, she's got the beginning. I need to beat her the middle and the end. But imagine she comes out, does that, and ends with like, air flare, and then spins a friggin' 90 into like 5 times. And then I'm like, geez, I don't have any spinning moves. So now, and it's not that you can't beat that because you'll see people that do it, but that's the beauty of breaking. Because when I'm watching, I'm like, now, and when someone does beat that, I'm like, holy shit, that's how you do it. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's how you do it. And you see, like, you can go to Shigekix and Flearock, the controversy of who won and why, blah, blah, blah. But Flearock won. And on paper, you might have said Shigekix would win that because he was the ex-champion, he's younger, blah, blah, blah. And Flearock came out and was like, this is how you can beat the kid. And he beat the kid. In the judges' eyes at that day, he beat the kid. So he convinced the judges. I was there in Poland. I say the whole audience went crazy for Flearock's rounds.
That was Poland?
Yeah, it was in Poland.
Bull,
That was the year before last.
Yeah.
In my head it was last year.
The year before last. And it's like, this was an audience not of all dancers, this is the public. So I'm like, if they're going crazy and 4 out of 5 judges voted for him, he gave you a blueprint of how to beat the spinning crazy stuff that they do. But maybe you have to be Flearock, and if you're not Flearock, you're never going to do that.
But also I find this with a lot of stuff, even with popping or hip hop or anything, right? It's like it takes incredible like fucking balls basically to like stick to your shit in the face of that. It's almost like the cowboy movies where they're like it's like for you to see that on, and it's one thing if you're Flearock and you've been around for a long time.
Exactly.
If you're a younger breaker or any dancer, right, and you see, and even what you were saying, it just I think it was off before we started. Oh no, it was just now that you were saying about you were trying to see what you do better than the person, and that is already like shows experience in dance, right? Because what happens is a lot of younger dancers, and I'm talking like mid-level and below, will come up against someone, see them, especially someone better. Like, so if I've battled some people that are way better than me, and I know in that moment it takes a lot of effort to go, okay, this is fucking Alex the Cage, right? He's amazing on the floor, like so good on the floor. He's also amazing, and I look up to him and I think he's wonderful. I need to go, right, I think I can do waves and lines better than him. I probably can't.
Yeah, I know you
I
mean,
probably can't, but it's my best shot, you know? Stay the fuck off the floor, do really complicated, intricate top stuff and play on the music, right? He's going to go on the floor. He's going to smoke me on the floor. But in order to do that, like, you have to have some resolve to be like, I might still lose this, but let me try to strategize. And it's like with a lot of people, they see, you know, with Flearock, he must have seen that battle, seen his rounds, probably said in his head, holy shit, that's impressive, but still gone, but so am I.
Because that's what makes him Flearock.
Exactly. And that, but so am I, is what a lot of younger dancers don't have. They just go, oh my God, it's fucking whoever, it's Victor, it's Alvin, it's whoever. There's no chance.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw whatever because I'm fucked anyway, you know?
Because there's a thing. But first, let's ask, because I want to ask Stefani, like, before, if you don't think you're better, I mean, maybe all the dancers that you've battled, you think, I've got this better. But if you don't think that you can do something better than them, what do you do then?
And do you have an example?
I think I'm trying to just freestyle, try and like something new, you know, just enjoy the moment. It's usually it happens when I don't have really like power stuff anymore. Or for example, in Spain, in the European Championship, in the final, I've been
with Nika,
and I knew that she's so powerful. She has lots of power moves, and she probably will repeat. And like she's doing really nice. And I have left like nothing with my power, but it's not a good. It's not really good strategy to do power like with her. It's better because I think always that like someone as like Nika or I don't know India, I can take with my style, with my top rock footwork, you know, my originality, playing music, and if I know like 100%, I never know 100% that I'm gonna lose because I always thinking that I can take it. Why not?
That's why she
I'm just thinking that okay, with it, she's really like much more powerful than me. But I can dance. She can't. And I gonna use this, you know. So unfortunately, for example, WDSF, I feel like they make more points for the people who doing the power. But to be honest, it should be like because we have the same. Like points in judging system for the musicality, for the power, but still they prefer power, unfortunately. But I feel that I have. That's why I think that in breaking you have to improve everything, not just the power, not just the footwork. You know, you have to do everything because there is different dancers with different styles, and you always have to have something like stronger than they have. You know, so yeah.
Yeah, or I mean, and I'm also, again, I'm relating this to top style stuff, but it's like you either have to have everything so that you have one, you know, something better than them, or if you're going to specialize, you have to be untouchable. You know what I mean? It's like say in popping or whatever. It's like if your main thing is waving, let's say, and you only do waving. If you're only going to focus your time on waving, you have to be the best waver in the world, because it's like, okay, not only do you have to beat anyone that's good on floor work, on this, on tuts or whatever, you also have to be all the best wavers in the world. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, either you have to be an all-rounder so that you always have something to answer, or if you're going to be a specialist, you have to be the best. Like being a specialist is harder, I think, than
I think it is. It's
being an all-rounder, because you cannot be like, because if that fails, if you do, if that fails, you're fucked.
And it's like, and I think it's true, because I think I'd say
it's like if Bboy Junior gets tired in his arms one day,
you're screwed.
It's like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's true, you know. And it's like, I don't think it's the WDSF that rewards. I think breaking's always, and I think this is the thing that breakers find it hard to admit. Like the whole scene, I'm like, power has always been rewarded more than everything else. Not in the end, but it does. And I always say to people this, I'm like, look at Red Bull BC1, look at UK champs, look at IB. I'm always like, name me one breaker. And it has happened but rarely. Name me one breaker that won, Red Bull BC won, that didn't use power moves and doesn't have them like on lock, because it's just that factor, because power is the one thing where everyone, but you're just spinning and turning. Everyone's like, now when you look at it, you'll be like, okay, watch the finals. They maybe didn't use the power in the finals, but they needed it to get there. And it's just human beings. Like, why do we love double backs and backflips and dunks in basketball and overhead kicks in football? We love dynamic big movements because we're like, yo, that's crazy. And I do think the hardest thing is, what it is when you're battling people with power, you already know if you don't have it left, you're at a disadvantage. Like, you know this in the back of your head, and you're like, I've used all my power, like you said against Nika. You don't want to repeat, so you already know you're at a disadvantage because you know that X factor. No matter what, do you go, okay, those 9 judges, it's gonna affect it. It's gonna, and sometimes I don't always agree with it. I do watch some battles where I'm like, nah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's an example is Chile. If we go to Chile, Alvin battled Gravity for 3rd place. And Alvin's last round, he done the same thing he done here. He was like air flare, hop, air flare, hop, air flare, hop, and he hit this 90 from hell. It was just like, holy, you have to be straight faced, and I had to kind of be like, keep your face, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because I want to just flip the table and be like, yo, and we're in South America. You know what I mean? He's from South America. The whole place goes crazy. Everyone jumps up. It was bananas. And then he like finished the round. But for me and most of the judges, because he lost that round, that part was dope. But the rest of his round didn't beat Gravity. So when the scores came up, Gravity won, and Gravity was like, yo, and the place was like, boo, we got booed. But he's been in South America, is what it is. They thought, you know what I mean? And but then, like, I was talking to Cross One because he was one of the judges, and he was like, he did vote for that round, and I got why he voted for it, because he said no, that 90 was the nail in the coffin. Yeah. He's like, and I'm like, I get it, bro. Like, I do get it, but for me, I was looking at more. I try and look at the whole round. Yeah, I try and look at like, okay, that part was the beginning, but the ending now has to be, you know what I mean? And
even if you think of it as like a graph, like if it spikes in one place and then drops here, and the other person's here, if you calculate that to like an average, one person's average would be like that one. Like, so even if that did, you can save a round by having a spike.
Exactly.
But it's still, all it does is bring up your average. And if the bringing up of your average doesn't match the other person's average.
Exactly. And the thing that we always have to remind ourselves is, I'm comparing you to this other dancer. I'm not comparing you to what you did until the other dancer now responds, or you went first or second. Yeah. So I think the power thing is, it's hard because, it's like, it's always going to be a factor. And breakers don't like to admit it. I know judges don't. But you have to admit, I'm like, no, guys, if someone's doing power moves and they're doing them good, not just any power moves. You have to be good at your power moves. But if they're really good at it, and you're a specialist and you don't have power moves, like I say, you have to be high level. That's why you can go to like Menno. He's a specialist. He's original. His stuff is like, you're just like, I don't know how he's creating all of this.
Menno isn't a power head.
So no, he used to use loads more power when he was younger.
Cool. I'm just trying to classify it in my head so I know.
He's like, he'll use the stuff like you said. He'll use the flare as a transition. He's got all the power moves, but you won't ever see him come out and do a power round.
It's like Steph Curry doesn't dunk, it doesn't mean he can't.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And so you look at Menno, but then you also go, that took Menno how many years? Like he's in his 30s now. He's won everything. Where he is now, if you go back to, I think it's Circle Kings 2006, he killed the last round. It was maybe 2008, I don't know. They won it, him and Cisco. His last round was like a big power round. Now you watch him now, his last round is just super creative. And so you watch Menno and he can take out people doing power with his stuff, but it took him a long time. And I think a lot of young dancers don't realize how long it took him to get to that place. Yeah. And he did have, but here's the difference. You can watch a dancer or a breaker, and I can watch them and know if they have power just from their footwork. And because the power gives you a velocity in your dance, right, and it makes you look more dynamic just as a dancer. And so sometimes you can watch breakers and go, oh, they don't have any power moves. You're like, why? Because there's no velocity in their movement. So sometimes you have to learn power, not to do power,
but just to have the strength and the quality of
the strength, the kick, the swing. It gives you the pull of the hips, the ability to switch gears, to be like, I'm top rocking now. When you go to the floor, okay, I'm killing you with this. And just to be like, I'm going faster, I'm going slower, to hold your body. You know what I mean?
I mean, it is like that, I was making a joke, but the Steph Curry reference, it's like, if he couldn't jump high enough to dunk, it's like, how good of a basketball player are you really going to be? It's like, it's almost irrelevant that he can or can't dunk. It's like, you need those muscles and that ability in order to play the rest of the game, even if it's just a jump shot. But you need to be able to jump higher than the other person to get above them or whatever. And it's like, it's not just because it does you the dunk that's the only reason to gain those skills.
No, it's to give you that even you see it like in fighting, boxing, like you need to be able to power punch. You need to have you need to be able to knock someone out with your punch. If you're a boxer, no matter how good you are, if you can't KO someone, like, you know, you're probably not gonna become a champion.
Right.
Because in boxing and in any fighting, like if you hit someone and they don't feel power from you, they don't respect you, and they'll just keep walking forward now. But when you hit someone and they're like, that was hard. Now they're like, okay, I've got to have my defense up. And it's the same in breaking. The truth of the matter is, like, again, you know, Stefani will know, sometimes you battle people and you watch their round and you're like, yeah, you got nothing for me, bro. You got nothing for me. And not because they can't break, but you're just like, I can see in your breaking that you're not mature, you've not got the velocity, and you can beat them. I swear you've probably done it where you've maybe battled someone who's not high level and you've just freestyled it. Yeah. Because you haven't had to throw your stuff, right?
Yeah, true.
You know?
Yeah. Just when you feel, for example, you have just more experience, you know, because some, for example, this battle in the top 8 with the girl, Italian girl, Mimi.
Young girl,
yeah. She's strong.
Yeah.
She has really nice stuff, really powerful. And if she like start to do this with lots of energy, confidence, she can take me. Yeah. And I knew that if she gonna do like all her best stuff and me being just freestyling and just footwork with top rock, I gonna take her anyway. Not because I am stronger, because I'm like have more experience, you know, and I'm more confident. This is I think the difference. Sometimes you see before the battle you already see who gonna win or who gonna lose, because someone's saying like, oh no, this big is so powerful, I can't take it. You know, but come on. Yeah, everyone can take it. Everyone. You know?
Yeah, true.
That's what you were saying about the youngsters, isn't it? It's like having that belief in yourself, but also it's like I was watching something today. I think it was a battle or something before I came. But this is the thing, and I ask every dancer this, like to see, it's like, what makes you nasty? Like what makes, when you come out, you should have one thing that you're like, and if you're talking breaking, top work, footwork, freezes, power, the more you have, cool. But you should have one of them, transitions, tricks. You need at least one where you say, look, if I'm doing this, ain't no one today beating me. No one, unless it's someone else who's nasty in that thing. So it's like Alvin could come to champs. And when he could have looked at that top 16, the top 8 when he's on the stage, and confidently say, no one's beating me in power today. Anyone who wants to test my power, I'm taking you out. And then Phil can confidently say, anyone who wants to test me in originality, I'm taking you out.
Or even Phil could say the opposite. It's like, I beat you or I could beat you, but I'm not going to touch your power. Yeah, like he agrees. It's like, yo, you got me on power, but I can still beat you.
But I'm nasty at this. Yeah. And when you know what you're nasty at, that's when you come out. And like, you know, like say with Mimi, like she's got good like form and footwork, nice and that, but she's still young, so she's not doing it like she's nasty at it. Yeah.
And it's also like, it's a bit of the belief in yourself, but it's also like developing something to bring to the table, even if that something isn't going to win you battles. Like I feel like I had this with like, I guess hip hop and popping, where there was a point that I got to when I started to feel more comfortable anywhere, like in cyphers or whatever. And it was when I was traveling more, and I found myself way more comfortable to jump into cyphers with like some of my idols or like people that, you know, I always looked up to, because I was like, you're way better than me. You have a name. You don't. But like, there's a few things that I'm going to pull out, and it might be just 2 or 3 rounds max. But like, there's a few things that I'm going to pull out that you're going to go, oh, nice. And it's like, even like, you know, if I travel to do battles and stuff, I might not get through prelims. I might get smoked in the first round. But I know somebody is going to come up to me and be like, oh, your waves were nice. Or, oh, that little combo you had was nice. I've got a couple of things in the bag that I'm like, you'll enjoy this even if you smoke me.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like when I start, not even when I started to get that, but when I started to believe it.
Yeah.
And like you can walk into any room and feel that confidence. And that's when I started to feel like more of a experienced dancer, to be like, even if I get my ass kicked today, like I have something to say.
Yeah.
Like I have something to bring to the table, you know?
And they're gonna remember you for that. And it's like I know when it came to breaking, it was always footwork and musicality for me, 100%. And I know I'm good at that. So even I've been to footwork battles where I didn't qualify, but without fail, people always come up and go, "You didn't get in?" I'm like, "Nah, not today." And they're always like, "Yeah, but," and I'm like, "Yo, sometimes it happens."
Yeah.
But I don't look at them shocked like, "You thought I got in? I didn't think." I'm like, "No." Every footwork
I know it's
battle,
going to stand out.
Yeah, I know I'm going to stand out, but you're not always going to qualify, especially with the cypher qualifications. They're madness. You know what I mean? They're a mad thing, and that's another story.
That stresses me out.
But I know footwork musicality, anyone can get it.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Do you know what I mean? Now, I might lose the battle.
Yeah, or they might even beat you at that thing, but they're going to respect that you can also do it.
And if they're going to beat me, that's when I'm like, oh, let's go. If I'm battling, focus, I'm like, oh, this is, you know what I mean? Because he's nasty at it, and he's been doing it longer. He's won more than me. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good battle. Let's go.
And I think that's like actual specialists, like in the battle scene, they enjoy that challenge. Like if they see someone that's another specialist in what they do, it's like let's go. I get a chance to really bring my shit out.
Yeah, you know.
What do you have a thing that makes you nasty? What's your like how when you think of yourself as a breaker, what's the thing that you're like, this is what makes me Stefani, the Stefani?
Real quick though, Stefani.
Yeah,
is that how you
Stefani
say it? Or Stephanie?
Because you always put the capital A, huh?
And it's not actually I do this. I don't know why people. No, I mean I think because it's not a mistake. Like my story being that my friends called me Stefania because I'm Anya.
Stefania, yeah.
Yeah. So like the last part is my real name, but I never like made it. I never like wrote anywhere like Steph and capital Anya like this. I don't know
they
why.
just add it?
Yeah, they just started to do this. I don't know why. But
I thought it was you being like, pronounce my name.
No. Not at all. So yeah, I don't know. I think like ask me maybe like 5 years ago, I could say that I have like power. You know, I'm so powerful. I can do the power move. And but now just because like the new generation of big girls is crazy. Their power move is much stronger than mine. So I started to play more with footwork, top rock, and musicality, and especially because I'm already old. So maybe I'm not sure if I'm gonna have so nice power move that they already have, you know. So I'm trying to play more with music and originality. So yeah, I can tell, I think that like my thing is I can do both, you know. I can play with music, I can do like different footwork, some original stuff, and I can do power. So I always have something better than other. So I don't know.
Sick.
I think this is my thing.
I like that.
It makes you nasty. It's like,
Yeah, for real.
you know. And the thing is, when you ask dancers, it tells you a lot about why they're winning and losing.
Yeah.
Because some people will tell you something. And I've had that breakers say, "Oh, it's this," and I'm like,
It's not that.
I'm like, "No, it's not." And then
You're
you
not
go,
nasty at that.
"It's this," and they're like, "Really?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "Yo, how do you not know?" Do you know what I mean?
And it's fine to be like, oh, that's the thing I want to be.
Yeah.
But it's not coming across yet.
Yeah, and then it's also, but then it's like if someone says it's one thing, like someone might say, "Oh, it's tricks," you know. And then in breaking, tricks is like anything. I describe it as when you put like a dynamic with a basic move. So an air chair could be classed as a trick because it's not a chair freeze, it's an air chair because you're pushing up. You know?
Right. Okay.
So you might say, "Oh, my things are tricks," you know, and then you're like, "But how many do you have?" And they're like, "Oh, I've got 2." And then you're like, "Well, then that's not your thing." And then
those moves are your thing.
yeah, and then I'm like, "So what do you practice more?" They go footwork, and they always go like this. Oh, and you're like, "Yeah, bro." And it's really weird, and it's like, and I said this to one breaker. I was like, they didn't know. They were like, "I'm not sure," and I said, "Do this. Go to training." Because breaking's simple. Like you got top work, you got your footwork, you got your freezes, your power. your tricks and your transitions, right? I said, go to training and pick each one. Start with top work. See how many different steps you got. Then do footwork. And don't do anything else. Just do one tech, footwork, step, another. Then do power moves. See how many you got. And by the end of training, see which one you have the most of. And whether you like it or not, right now, that's the thing that you're best at. And if you want to now change it, then you'll go, oh yeah, I've only got 2 power combos, but I call myself a power head. I'm like, well, then you need to stop practicing all that footwork and start practicing power, or you need to realize that your personality wants to do footwork, and you just maybe think you want to be a power head because you love it, but then naturally you're like, yeah, but it's not me. And in dance, because it's personality, right? And ultimately you're trying to express your personality. Yeah. Some people try and express a personality that isn't them. Yeah, you know, is
bars. Yeah. That's like a lot of dancers, I think. And I think I was thinking about this the other day, maybe it was after Champs, but like, I think that's something with younger dancers where like there's like a correlation between you finding yourself as a person and you getting better as a dancer. Yeah. Because it's like when you're like with Sofia, it's like she has no issue, like you have no issue to say, I'm good at this, like this is my thing, this is why I'm better than these people. It's fine because you're confident in who you are as a person. And it's like, I think some people are, when you're younger, it's normal, but you're like, I think I'm good, but I'm not sure. And I think I'm this type of person, but I don't know. And I like to be like this, and everything's changing. You're young, it's fine. But you don't, then the same is going to happen with your dance, because one day you're going to go in here, yeah, I'm strong, I'm a power head. And then you're like, well, actually, I want to be a footwork guy. You know, and everything is changing every day. So I think when you start to settle into who you are as a person, then you're like, I'm fine just being this guy, you know, like since I've known you actually, but you're like, I'm fine being the footwork guy. Like,
but I wasn't that at first.
Oh, really?
Because I used to do gymnastics, like adult gymnastics. So if you watch the old clips of me and my crew, I was doing flips. Right. I had windmills both ways. I was trying to do all the tricks. The only reason I started doing like footwork and stuff is because in my crew, La Familia, the first one, everyone had good foundation apart from me. Like training with Renegade, he used to be like this, oh, Manny, you got all the steps, but they look like crap. And so I was like, I need to fix it, because it got to a point where everyone in my crew had won a battle apart from me. And I was like, and I was like, you know what, I need to fix my foundation, because obviously this is why I'm not winning. And so I just started practicing my foundation. I got into footwork, and then there was a battle throwdown years ago, and they done a footwork battle. They never done it before. And I battled my boy Chris, GG in my crew, first round. And I was like, oh, I'm going to lose, because Chris had the best foundation. And I was like, screw it, I'm going to lose, so I'm just going to go all in. And I ended up beating him. And as soon as I beat him, I was like, I'm winning this whole competition now, because no one else here was going to beat me. And I ended up winning it. And then I was like, I kind of like footwork. And then I still had the power and stuff. And I stopped doing the flips because, it was too doing it from floor and stuff,
but it's like it takes a certain level of maturity to sit in that and just be like, I am going to focus on that. That is what I like to do. Because like, I think when you're young, everything changes every 2 weeks. So you're like, you know what I mean? It's
and
hard
you want to do what the best person's doing. So you're like, oh, so-and-so is winning with that, I'm going to do that. And then but then you're like, I always say, you don't know how long it took them to find that. Like Stefani saying, she used to do, power was her thing, but now the youngsters are doing power, so now she's changing. And you're kind of like, if you stuck to power, you might find it harder today because of these youngsters. But you were, in the finals in Spain, you just won champs, So it's like, obviously the transition that you've changed to, it's worked for you. But again, it's maturity, I think, when you realize, oh, these are doing some crazy stuff. I used to be able to match that. I can't, but there's all this other stuff in the dance I can get better at to tackle what they do. And you still got this in the bag. You're still like, when I want to, I can pull out the power and I can pull it out, but then I'm going to pull out this and that. And now you're going to be in trouble because you're just doing power,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I'm curious about how you found Champs.
Oh, let's go.
As a because I guess a little bit about like breaking and stuff from being around the scene, but you're not so like.
Was it your first one? Your first Champs?
Yeah, it was the first time I went. Honestly, like I just went there and I just wanted to I started going to breaking events really recently, so for me it's really new, and like I don't know, I just wanted to go, like you said, this thing of like you don't really know about it, so like you want to just enjoy it. So I really, really enjoyed it, and the level was super high, and it was the first time also I was an event where there were people from other countries too.
Oh, sick. Breaking, like a breaking event.
Yeah. So yeah.
Was you surprised at the people, like the level of people from other countries?
Yeah, but I feel like also it showed me like the UK is in a really good place, I think.
Yeah.
So it was just like,
Yeah, it's like the first time her seeing even like Kid Columbia and stuff. And when he did that, you know that thing where he lands on his front? She's like, what the hell?
Could you imagine? The first time you see it, did you think he's going to die? And he messed it up.
I was just like, what the fuck is he doing?
He's like, oh my God, what's
Call
happening
the ambulance. Like, she's on the back.
He's missed the move. And then he gets up and you're like, that was the move. Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I had fun. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Do you find like, because I'm in the middle now. I used to like have no clue about breaking. I wouldn't say I know about breaking, but I'm starting to see it a bit more. But like, do you feel like you understand what you're looking at? Like, do you see it and go, oh, cool, now they're going into this part, now they're doing this. That's the move. Because say with popping, it's like and maybe it's easier in general, but also you know it more. So it's like easier for you to say, okay, they're doing their like foundation-y stuff. Now they're going into their creativity. Now they're doing a floor move. That's the end of the round.
Yeah.
Like, do you follow the story of breaking? Does that make sense?
I feel like I'm still I feel like I'm getting it slowly, but also there's this thing of like sometimes people win and I'm just like, I'm confused. But also I realize when I watch around, I try to match it with what I know from Top Styles. So
How so?
Like, for example, for me, like Top Styles is a lot about like I'm very like, I love musicality and like super like people when they hit stuff on music and everything. And I feel like breakers, not everyone does it, if that makes sense. Like it's very rare, or like when they do it, it's like their specialty kind of.
She's gonna vote for Danny Dan every time.
Yeah.
So I'm just like when they hit when they hit stuff in the music, I'm just like, oh, like not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
So I feel like you.
Yeah.
So
and is it like that with Power as well? Like when you see like Alvin, are you like he won everything?
I mean, obviously, it's like it looks impressive because like I don't know how to do it. So like technically, I just think it's more difficult. But maybe I'm just not like aware of like, how much like the other stuff. Like,
but like when you're watching, like, have you seen Victor or Menno?
Menno. Yes.
So like, if you watch Menno, and then you watch someone like Alvin, like, is the instinctual part of your brain saying Alvin's gonna smoke him?
No,
but you're kind of seeing the different. You're like, okay, I see what he's got.
Also, there's like stuff like with creativity. Like if they're just hitting power moves just to be like, oh, this is impressive. I'm just like, well, you're not doing other stuff, so I'm just like, you know.
Okay, so you can see enough of it,
a little bit, yeah. Okay. But I'm still sometimes like.
But did you? I don't know if I didn't see how much they showed it, but they had a video with like the judging stuff up on the screen at one point.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that like, well. So Swifty said I have to shout him out, right? But this is probably not the best time to shout him out because I'm going to criticize something. Hey, sorry, Swifty. Shout out to Swifty. But I think they were trying to explain from the rules about the judging system. But there was two halves. Do you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. There's two halves of the video, right? The first half is like, be respectful, don't touch your opponent, blah, blah. And then the second half talks about the judging system. And the second half says, what's the different categories or whatever? Like
artistic, interpretive, and physical.
So it gave an expression of that. And every they did it like 2 or 3 times that they tried to catch the video because I think it was playing on a loop.
Yeah.
So but they tried to catch it and they explained the first part where I was like, you have to respect your opponent, you have to, and then they moved on when it came to the judging system. So actually like each time they didn't get to the point when they explained the judging system bit, they just explained the kind of general breaking rules or like the unspoken etiquette part of the video, which I was like, no, keep going because you're getting to the point that we want to hear. But I mean, the first part is important as well. But I guess also, you know, if you're trying to run, I get why it happened. Like if you're trying to run and push through the event.
And because I saw they had the video during the changeover. I didn't know that was there. And I was
it was playing during the, like before and after the battle.
Yeah, exactly. And I never saw when they actually put it up because I was running around and all that. So, and I was interested, like, if you're in the audience, did you see that and go, oh, I get it, you know?
Did you even notice the video that was there?
It was what the thing you were saying, that the rules thing. Yeah, I think I saw it, but I feel like it's something I kind of knew already.
Yeah, but it was like, do you remember seeing the thing of like, don't touch your opponent, this type of thing? But because they kept cutting away from it, but the second half of that had the different categories of how the judges were judging. So it was like the artistic thing, what is it all?
No.
The
artistic, because you got the threefold, it's free. Artistic, physical, artistic, interpretive should be those.
Okay. And the explanation of what each of those because that's how the judging system that they used for this is the same one for WDSF.
Yes and no.
Okay,
that's the controversy.
Okay.
What happened to basically the
Cutting
WDSF?
this for real?
The controversy. you've got the trivium system, and the trivium is the main big system with I believe, so I didn't use this trivium, I'll check in a minute, but 7 faders, so 7 categories.
Right.
Then you got the freefold system, which has 3 categories, you know, and the freefold is used for like smaller battles, like usually within the country and stuff. Like at champs, they just use the freefold. Trivium was used at all the big championship events, and this was the main system. The WDSF then, for loads of different reasons, they've made a second system called the WDSF system, and that's got 5 categories. And so now they're not using, as far as I've been told and know, trivium will be used at the Olympics because it's the system that the Olympics have signed off on, and they don't have enough time for the WDSF system to get reviewed and signed off on. But for ever since not Spain, there was an event just before Spain, Brazil, they started using the WDSF system for all the big events, and that's the system they're using at all the WDSF events now, the 5 one, with 5 categories, and and so, but trivium isn't being used, as far as I know, for any event leading up to the Olympics. But for the Olympics, they're supposed to use trivium, and maybe for the OQS, I don't know about that, they're going to use trivium. So you got 3 systems: trivium, WDSF system, freefold. And the thing that separates them is how many different categories. Freefold has 3 categories, WDSF has 5 categories, the trivium, I believe, has 7.
Okay.
But it might be 6, but I think it's 7.
But sorry, the WDSF is the one that leads to the Olympics. So why didn't they do a different system and not just the same? If it's this,
good question.
You know what I mean?
No one knows.
As far as obviously there's a whole controversy around this. I'm not going to dive into the politics.
He's like, don't get me started.
Yeah, I'm not going to dive into the politics of it. As far as I know, from what I've been told, and I'm not, like I said, there's other stuff, but that's too political to jump on now. And, you need to bring on Renegade.
We would have gone viral.
Yeah. You'd have gone viral. Number one, they wanted a simpler system, they said. And they said there were judges that found trivium a bit too much because it's 7 faders, 7 categories.
I hear that.
So they said they wanted a simpler system, which is 5 categories. So this one's 5 and it's less. So and I've spoken to both sides. I know judges that they've done trivium, they were fine on it, but it does take a while because this is all new. But there were some judges that were fine on it, and I've spoken to some judges that are like, no, the WDSF system's easier and it's more straightforward because it's 5 faders. I've spoken to dancers that are like, yeah, the trivium was a lot, but the WDSF is less faders, so it's easier for the dancers to understand, and then vice versa. So you'll get people that say, no, keep trivium. You get people that are like, oh, no, WDSF works for me. So that's why it's like political and different views, right? Okay. So 1 was to make it simpler. 2 was, I got told that apparently you're not allowed to have a monopoly in the Olympics. So you have to have more than one system. This is what I got told. I haven't looked it up. You have to have more than one system, so then you can pick from it, as opposed to just the trivium system. So I've also been told that, and also there might be a thing with like just even like ownership. Like obviously the trivium is not the WDSF system. The trivium was made before the for the Olympics, but the guy that made it, Dominic, he made freefold. This was already in the works, and then it got, when the Olympics came, it accelerated.
So they want to have like some ownership.
Yeah, so they've got their own system and once they've got, it's called the WDSF system. So now they've got ownership over their own system. So whatever happens, they're like, well, we've got a system that we own. There's another system out there that we can use, and so there's all these, all these things. Everyone obviously has their own views on it and stuff, but to keep it like neutral and not get political, these are the reasons why it actually happened. Well,
I guess you have like different kind of setups or governing, like even in basketball, it's like in European, I think it's like, what is it, 12-minute quarters, and then the NBA's 10-minute quarters, or like just little things like that, whereas like, okay, in different leagues you might have different
everyone has their own
or different ways of doing things. So,
and I say this to people, I'm like, I understand the politics and stuff that's gone on, and and there's a whole stuff going on. I understand it because it's more interpersonal relationships that have caused this, all these things happen. But in every sport, every organization will get their own system. The UFC has a different rules to Bellator, which is another one. They have different rules to ONE, which is another MMA organization. And if you see the Olympics, no matter what happens, they always every year are changing rules and changing this and changing that. So I say to people, look, put interpersonal relationships aside, those systems were going to change regardless. Like they've changed. Some people don't know judo. They changed the rules of judo. You know, they took out leg attacks, which you can't use anymore. They made it faster, and now they've made some throws illegal. Look at Simone Biles. I don't know if it was the Olympics or the Gymnastics Association, but she done these new crazy moves, and they came along and said, no, they're too dangerous, and then they just took them out. And I'm like, if they're taking away they're changing rules for Simone Biles, who's like the top gymnast in the world. So I was like, whatever happened, this was going to happen. The Olympics, because they're constantly trying to do two things: make it fair and also make it entertaining. That's why basketball has like the 30 seconds. Is it 30 seconds you have to shoot? 24 seconds clock.
24 second clock. Yeah.
And that's there because they don't want you passing the ball around for 2 minutes. So like you got 24 seconds. In judo, if you grab 2 grips, I believe you have something like 5 seconds to throw, or you get penalized. In wrestling, if you go backwards and you step out, if you go backwards, you get penalized. And all these rules weren't there to start with. They added them because they were like, well, let's pick this up. Let's make this faster. So not saying the WDSF system makes breaking better than the trivium.
No,
I'm
but
just
there's
saying
just a way
that
to
they're
try
going to
and
always
do
change different rules.
How do you feel like dancer wise? Like, does it make much difference to you? Or
Stephanie, you can be controversial.
No,
you can
actually,
be controversial.
I answered already
safe.
several times this question. I don't really feel like big difference because this year, this is the first year when I actually took a part in WDSF event, and there was a trivium system. I participate just in one in Japan, if I'm not wrong. And all other was WDSF system, and I don't really feel big difference. Just one thing, I think with the trivium system, judges spend more time to look in on the laptop to like
do the faders.
Wait to the fader than just look the round to battle. And with new system, I see like how judges watching the rounds and after they make their decisions. This is what I really felt in Japan in top 8, because I've been dancing and I seen how like they not watching, and I've been walking around the stage waiting when they start to watch. You know, this is actually I think the mistake of so many good dancers. They do their like best move in the beginning, like jumping or something like crazy, but no one even watching. So I mean, like, why are you wasting your move? You know, like no one watched it. You know, just the audience.
You know, when it's really bad as well is in prelims. When people are doing prelims and the person before went, the judges are still writing. And then they come out and do something and they're like, I'm ready, and it's like you wasted it.
I don't remember. Someone it was a workshop, I think. I don't remember who made it, but I really remember how they told like wait and see when judges watching and after begin your round. And they're like, I mean, like now all the time walking around the stage and after beginning the round.
It's a hard thing to answer because I feel like maybe you need like a buffer period of like, you know, to give the judges time to do that. If you're going to have 7 faders, it's like, okay, their round finished. Okay, you got 30 seconds. But then that's also shit because there's just nothing happening on stage. So it's like, it's hard to be like, okay, how do you judge? Because actually, technically what we're saying is that if me and you are battling, you finish your round and they're technically recording the scores for your round during my round, which cuts at least 10, 15 seconds off a 1 minute round. Or if you're a breaker, less, like it could be a 30-second round. If you miss 10 seconds isn't that long to do 7 faders if you think, right? That's like 1 point whatever seconds or whatever. So it's like 10 seconds out of a 30-second round is a lot. That's a third of the round you've missed just doing the judging if I start when my time is started. You know what I mean? Which is a bit like, I don't know how we solve that.
It's like, but because I haven't used the trivium. I've used like the WDSF one. But the main thing is, to be honest, it's not doing the score. It's not doing the fader.
Okay.
Because the fader you can do it anytime.
Okay.
So even you can hold it in your head if you're good at that. You can hold it in your head and do. The thing is especially in round robin is you have to submit the scores for each round as the round finishes. So if Stefani comes out and does her round and then she's battling Nika does her round, for round robin they show the score, and for UK champs you see the score.
Oh yeah.
So you have to submit it. Now, when you do the final, technically,
you can do it all at the end.
You can. They do say you can, but you can't because it shows. You'll see some battles and you'll see one judge's thing hasn't come up, and so they have to submit. And it's the fact that you have to submit the score, which is why you have to look down. And they do say things like, because I'm thinking, someone that likes to be like, what's the most efficient way you can do this? So they do things like, okay, I was putting my iPad here, and then the dancer's there. So the iPad's there. And you can then did that work? And then I was like, nah, I'll put it here for a minute. Because doing that, I can be like, okay, the dancers come out and I can be like this. And then I look down and then I put my finger on the fader and I look down, I move it, and then I'm looking back. And when you do that, you can still see the dancer, they haven't gone down yet, or they're walking around. Do you know what I mean? So there's different ways, but I do think ultimately, because a few breakers like Manny Boy and MG was saying some things, I was like, I don't think you should be using faders. And when I say not fade, I don't mean the thing shouldn't be a fader. I think it shouldn't be like this because it's not intuitive, because you have to put your finger on the screen. And I was saying, and Trivium does have this before, I know Kev might be, we have it. Human beings use buttons. Your phone's a button. Yeah. How many times on a phone, like especially when it was real buttons, could you text without looking at your phone? Oh yeah.
Even now with the screen,
you can text without looking at the phone, right? True. What do we use? Consoles, PlayStation.
Yeah,
you're there, you're just looking. And so they came up, like Manny Boy was saying this, and I was like, you're right. They're like, yo, when you're doing this, you have to look at it because you don't know. But imagine
Give
like
me a PS5 controller to judge a battle.
And then each button, all you have to do is have 5 buttons in a row, and then one button is plus and one button's minus. And I can be watching doing that, and the only time you look is to just go, the fader's in the right place. Cool.
Or you click it, like if it's out of 10, let's say, and like 10 is the top, 0 is the bottom. You go, that's like 7. Click, 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 click,
yes.
click. That's 7. Or
and
click, click, click.
There's an example of that because when I had this, and when you go on a plane, when I flew to Chile, I was on the plane, and you have the controller to watch the movies. 2 seconds in, I'm not looking at the controller. I'm like click, 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 click around the screen. Now, albeit I am looking at the screen, but at the end of the day, I know I'm not looking at where the thing's going. I'm just clicking because I know 2 clicks moves it. And so I think they need something like this, which will stop the judges having, it needs to be intuitive so you can move stuff without having to look at the screen, and you just check the screen. And then once you check, you can go, boom, cool.
That's a good point. I haven't looked at a PS5 controller since I bought it.
But how many combos on Street Fighter can you do with just your thumbs? And I used to text in my pocket. That's when I had buttons. I could send a text message in my pocket because I knew where the buttons were. But I think this is like, the one thing I do like give everyone is, this is new. Like no one was ready for the Olympics. So this is the first phase. And then I think as hopefully by 2028 or 2032, they'll start to bring these things in and go, because in the end, an interface is all about being intuitive, right? That's all it is. And humans use buttons. A laptop, you can type without looking at the screen. Like you type all of this. I don't know anything human beings use where you put your thing on and you fade it across,
and you don't have any sort of I think it's called haptic feedback. Like they have it on the PlayStation, but like it's like, when you push a button, like let's say in a fighting game on PlayStation, now with the PS5, when you punch someone, you push the button and you feel like it vibrates. So you feel the impact. So I think it's called haptic feedback. But with a phone, they build it in. So when you click, when you're texting, there's a little vibration every time you touch a letter. So you know I've touched one. And if you're texting and you don't feel it, you go, why didn't I feel anything? But with a fader, there's nothing. You feel smoothness. But if you felt click, 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 you know that's like 7, that's 3.
And again, I haven't used Trivium, so I don't know if it has it. I have seen it.
Maybe they've solved all this.
I know Trivium does have like plus and minus buttons, but but you can still use the fader, so I don't know if they encourage to use the buttons, but I do just think right now, I think everyone is caught up in trying to make the judging system, so the interface hasn't really been looked at. Like, is this interface intuitive enough? Because I say this, it's like, whatever your argument is, the judging, anyone should be able to use the interface. Understanding the system is different, but I should be able to give the interface to anybody in the world, and they can go, well, I can at least use this. I might not get what I'm judging. I might not understand the system of intuitive, performative, but I can use it because your phones are built like that. It's for anybody. Keyboards are built like that. PlayStation controllers. Like, I might whoop your ass on Street Fighter, but you still know
Use
punches
control,
here, and if you button bash, you'll do something. So I think that those are the two separate things. The interface needs to be for anybody, but then if you're going to judge, you need to study and do your.
I mean, the thing also is, it's like this entire, if we're calling it a sport in this context, this entire sport didn't exist before 50 years ago.
No.
Like,
so
let alone
we're in the Olympics already.
The Olympics hasn't even happened yet.
That's true.
And it's like, everyone relax. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's going to be fine. Like 4, 5, 6, like how many Olympics have had the 100 meters, or how many Olympics have had boxing? Probably like loads, right? We haven't even had one. It's like, it will get there. Like it's gonna cost a few people. Like, and unfortunately for the dancers who are in your position, where you're in prime position for this first Olympics, it's like you're getting the worst deal, because it's like we're still figuring it out while you're in your prime athletic phase. But I think it's like, it's gonna get there. Like everyone's we're having the right conversations. People are trying to do stuff. And I think, you said there's controversy and stuff like that, and like I've seen like a lot of pushback from the dancers on different things, which I think you need. It's like there should be, we're trying this new system. The dancers should say it's fucking shit, and then everyone else goes, okay, cool. Like, I'm not saying they said it's shit. I'm saying that as an example. But like, you know what I mean? It's like the dancers push back, then they go and make some changes, then they push back again, then they try it and it doesn't work, and then they hire some judges and it's not good. And it's like, you need all this process, and then 3-4 Olympics time, it's going to be perfect.
There. I mean,
but
boxing used to be hundreds of rounds and smaller gloves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it evolves over time.
Everything evolves, and breaking, unfortunately, because I always come back to the scene. If you come back to the breaking scene, every event doesn't even agree on how to do this. So if our events don't agree on how to do it,
every judge doesn't agree on what the thing is. Yeah.
So then you're gonna have the Olympics come in, WDSF, and they're just gonna be like, well, none of you agree, so we're gonna set the pace, and then you're not gonna agree what they're gonna agree. But it's like Red Bull holds up cards. You know what I mean? Like, anyone using the system does the system, but then you still got events doing still pointing hands, and then you got the WDSF system. And I'm like, the one thing that like benefits any sport is if you already have an established professional league, and then they come in and they just go to the professional league and go, how'd you do this?
Yeah.
And then they just decide if that will entertain the crowd. But we never had that in breaking. We never had it. We had to do it because the Olympics came along.
Right.
And so we were.
It didn't develop organically first.
No, we're a step behind. And it's like I said, you go to different events, it's always something different, like always. And so you're kind of like, well, if we haven't figured it out, it was, now we're being forced to figure it out. And for me, you just got to kind of put the personal feelings aside. And I get why they're there. Don't worry, I do, but I don't. But I'm like, you got to put that aside and just be like, what's the best and most efficient way to do this? And if we can get there and understand that, unfortunately, there's going to be like, not everyone's going to be able to be there for various reasons. Again, political controversy, interpersonal relationships. But not everyone makes it to the end. It is what it is. Do you want breaking to become the best it can be? Yeah. And if you don't agree, like I always say, Undisputed is like, they got, I think, 7 events this year, man. I'd just like, fuck it, go do Undisputed. I'd be like, you know what? Olympics ain't for me.
Well, is Undisputed the closest we have to like some sort of league, like professional league kind of thing?
I'd say Red Bull's the closest.
True.
Just because Red Bull has all the ciphers. And so if you win ciphers multiple years in a row, I know dancers like Auntie, that before she won the Red Bull Cypher, no one knew who she was. And she literally told me as soon as she won a Red Bull Cypher, she was invited all over the world with it. She just got emails flood her box. And she went from not being known to now one of the best B girls in the world. And if you really, and it's only because she won a Cypher. And that happens to a lot of people. And if you look at it, that's what the UFC does for their fighters. That's what NBA does for players. You want something that elevates you completely and utterly if you succeed in that. Undisputed, now they've got more events, they're getting closer to it, but we'll see what happens this year because they're adding events and they got Fuji Stack, so it's coming with them.
What's besides like WDSF and the Olympics, what's the like for you, like, okay, if I won this, I'm the best B-girl in the world?
Red Bull, I think,
See, still Red Bull.
Yeah, Red Bull.
Is there anything that's close second?
And why Red Bull?
I was thinking like Outbreak, but it's like few years ago I've been thinking about the Outbreak, but now just because like more European people competing in Outbreak, and it's been really a lot for me. With Outbreak, I don't really want, for example, go this year, so I don't really care, because I know that there is already so many big European big girls who I beat it, and it's not my real goal. So yeah, now I think it's Red Bull. It's one world.
What makes Red Bull? I think I know why, but from a dancer's perspective, what makes Red Bull so enticing to want to win that?
What do you mean?
Why is it? Why is that the best
in your mind? Why is this the pinnacle?
I think it's because it's the most sane event. Like
sane?
No, I mean like maybe the most commercial event.
Okay,
you know,
yes.
Like everyone knows Red Bull, even if you're not a breaker. Everyone knows Red Bull BC1. You know, like I remember in my school, like my classmate, they watched on the phones the Red Bull BC1. They didn't even know about the breaking a lot, but they knew about the Red Bull BC1. You know, so
it's more like the visibility, the amount of people watching.
Yeah.
That's what every athlete wants, right? At the end of the day, if you're working hard at something, you want to be on the platform which gives you the most worldwide exposure.
Yeah. But it's interesting because there's like, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I think it also has to be like the cultural thing, because I feel like in the breaking scene, people respect BC1. Like they're like, yeah, it's judged well. Like the people that get to judge are good. Like it's a real breaking event, because you could say, I don't know, like, you know, like the talent shows on TV or something are bigger than BC1, but that wouldn't mean as much. Like if you won a talent show, you'd be like, oh, cool, but it didn't mean as much as winning BC1. Yeah. So it's not only the visibility. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of stuff around
It's like also the culture has to fuck with the thing.
You got to remember as well, when Red Bull first started, people didn't see it like that. It grew into that. Yeah, when Red Bull first started, it was seen as just commercial event, and it was like winning it was but it wasn't like you're the best on the scene, because it wasn't seen as a cultural event, and they had to work to make it. Like even the ciphers didn't exist at first.
Right.
They used to just do invites. There was no ciphers, and then they done the ciphers, but then they done if you won in UK, like Spin won the UK cipher, but he then had to go to the European final to get to the
I remember that.
And then they took all that out, and then they done the last chance. So I do think Red Bull, because they're they understand media, they understand how to really promote the dancers. They introduced the bout, and that's big. You know what I mean? The bout, when you win, you get the Red Bull piece. That got introduced maybe 8-10 years ago. You know, they didn't have it at first.
That's also the thing, because Undisputed is like the league, right? They, like you said, it's like 7 events, but do they have their own event?
Yeah, they do, because right now, basically, because they're sponsored by Fuji, which is from, I think Fuji Instastack.
Instax.
Right? Yeah, Instax. It's in Tokyo, so the World Finals last year was in Tokyo. You're going to Tokyo now for the World Final, right? So the World Final will be in Japan each year, and then they're adding more events, because the more events they add, I believe, the more winners they can then fly to Tokyo. So last year was only 3, I think.
How long have they had their own the World Finals of?
This is the first time, because they
last year is the first time.
Last year's the first time. They had Undisputed. They had it before. And it was all the top events. So Outbreak was part of it, freestyle session. And then IBE, they all came together. In the end, it didn't work out because everyone has their own events and their own stuff going on. So events dropped out. And then they got the Fuji sponsorship. And then that was part of the revitalization. They were already Tyrone and Hooch, they do it. So they were already working on doing it again. They got the sponsorship. They came in, and now they've revitalized it. So they started with 3 events, and then this year Tyrone's adding and Hooch added more events. I don't know how many they want to add, but they obviously want it to become this thing where like we're gonna have this many events. We're gonna do it all around the world. They've got like I think they're trying to go to Brazil this year, maybe Dubai. They've got like certain countries. So then that's why I think Undisputed for me. You got Red Bull, and looking at it, you got Undisputed.
Well, Undisputed could become
that thing. In America, they do have the Pro Breaking League. They still have that. Yeah. So they got that. But worldwide, right now, from what I see, it's Undisputed that can be the next Red Bull BC1.
Yeah.
You know?
But this is also what we were talking about. Who was I talking about this with? Was it you? No, someone. Oh, my friend. That didn't matter for you guys, but is about breaking not having the like season thing where it's like it's just events all year round, and then it's like because even I was wondering if people are going to come, or I don't know if this played in to your decision, because obviously UK Champs was important to you on a personal level, right? But you still have WDSF points that you need to get outside of this. So what was it in Madrid, the event that was the same weekend, the WDSF?
Yes, same day actually.
Same day, right? So you had to choose UK Champs over Madrid, right?
Like me not, because I already know QS.
She's good.
She's good. Right.
So, but if not this, I should go to Madrid.
Right, and I think because Karam's in the same boat, right? Like Karam has enough points that he's chilling because he's got that second in Manchester, which helped him, right? Am I on the right track?
Yeah, because Madrid was a challenger, so it's not so many points.
Okay.
You know the 3 different ones, the levels.
Yeah, bro. Wait. Can we? Let's take a pause and try and do this. Okay, between the two of you, can you explain to me this whole qualification system? Because I've tried to read the stuff and I'm fucking confused. Rob sent me 2 full voice notes explaining it in depth, and I listened to both of them, and then I went, I still don't get it.
I have a 1-page document I'll send you that kind of outlines it.
For people at home, because I feel like this would be gold in terms of like having it online somewhere. Between the two of you, can you explain the best you can like how this whole thing works? Like people know that WDSF is something to do with the Olympics. They know you get points and they know there's some sort of ranking system. Besides that, I don't know that anyone outside of the competing breakers know really in depth what's happening.
A lot of breakers don't even really know the system.
So I'm gonna hand over to you guys.
You have better English, so please.
Well, all right. Let's basically say what let's get one thing straight first. You got the WDSF, which stands for the World Dance Sport Federation.
Yeah.
They're the federation in charge of bringing breaking to the Olympics.
And the Olympics require a federation. Like we can't just have breaking in the Olympics. They require someone to take care of it.
Yes, because what it is to look at it simply, Olympics at the top of the pyramid. And then they put a federation in charge of bringing a sport to the Olympics. To become an Olympic federation takes years. So it took the WDSF something like 10, 15 years to actually become certified. You don't just become a federation. It takes a long time.
They did that with like ballroom and stuff.
So
right?
it's like, they were already ballroom they took on.
Oh, okay.
So it's like, so they became certified as the world, and that's why they're called the World Dance Sport Federation, because it's all dances. It's not just like breaking this. If you go on there, they got hip hop on there and stuff, you know? So they were already certified. So when breaking got into the Olympics, we automatically went under them. It was automatic.
Because they're the only dance sport federation.
Exactly, you know? So that's how it is, you know? So,
and breaking GB are like the next level down.
So, no.
Oh, no.
So you got Olympics, IOC, WDSF.
Yeah.
Then you have dance sports federations in each country.
Like Dance Sport England.
So we have here Dance Sport England. We also have Dance Sport Ireland, Scotland. You know, USA has a dance sport. So you know, it's your dance sport, not federation, organization, basically. But
do they work for WDSF, or are they just underneath it in the same way WDSF are?
So they're all basically, if you look at it like a big membership club, IOC's at the top, Olympic, WDSF next, and then the dance sports federations in each country are under WDSF.
Got ya.
So, and they sign up to WDSF, they probably pay some type of, I don't know if they pay a membership fee or whatever, but they're under them. So it goes down. So when it comes to the Olympics, it's like IOC has the final say, WDSF are in charge. Every country has to default to their dance sports organization in that country. So for us, it was Dance Sports England.
Yeah.
Right, so then you got that level, and those are the people in charge of doing anything in that country to do with the athletes, the events, the Olympics, right? Yeah. But under them, you then have the sports federations, and the sports federations can be like Breaking GB. Breaking GB signed a document with an agreement document with Dance Sports England to say we'll take care of breaking. Come back to you and basically be like, we're doing this, is it cool? And they go, yeah, it's cool, or no, don't do this, don't do that.
So Dance Sport England take care of all the dance sports in England. That sounds really redundant to say. But then breaking GB will be like, we'll be the managers, the line managers for breaking.
Yeah, exactly.
And there'll be other federations for different sports, and then they all report back to the one.
Exactly. You know, this only happens if the federation in your country doesn't want to take full control.
So they could be doing it, but breaking GB are like, we'll do your job for you.
Yeah, because they don't know breaking.
Got ya.
And they don't have a choice. They didn't get to choose. They're like, you're under World Dance Sports Federation. You're DSC. You have to do this because this is part of your agreement.
Because at the top we've accepted breaking into the Olympics, now automatically all the way down at the bottom
you have to be involved.
And so they're probably going, oh, thank God, somebody.
Yeah, someone else. Whereas in some other countries like America, I think they've got a closer. They get involved more. Here,
they just let them do it.
And they're smaller here, so they don't know breaking,
right,
and all that. So that's why Breaking GB came together to be like, we'll take care of all of this, but you sign off on it. So even to get funding, it has to go through like Dance Sports England in a sense. They have to, basically the agreement had to be signed with Dance Sports England to get funding because they're the organisation.
Yeah, you can't just fundraise independently.
So you can't get funding from the Olympic sports organisation without it. You can independently get funding all you want, but you can't go to the official UK sport and ask them for funding. Because they're like, but who are you? They're like, oh, well, we're Breaking GB and we want to fund our athletes. They're like, but you're not the organisation. Dance Sports England is. But if you agree with them that this is going on, then we can now give Breaking GB the funding, because Dance Sports England are like, yeah, we've and that was the agreement that got signed, and that had to get sorted out. So you've got those 4 pillars, right? Olympics, WDSF, dance sports organisation in each country, and then if they have a sporting body that's going to help them if they're doing it on their own. So this is where, I don't know if Stefani knows actually, like in Ukraine, I think they work directly with the dance sports federation. Like Intact was telling me he sorts it out for Ukrainians, but I think there's no organisation, it's just him working directly with the dance sports people.
I think so,
so maybe he's more like an advisor to them.
Yeah,
but they're the ones, rather than a whole organisation.
It's him and a few people, whereas here we have Breaking GB, you know, and all that. That's important because there's a lot of times people go, well, why are the WDSF doing that? And I'm like, if it's in your country, it's not the WDSF, it's your dance sports organisation. So people...
Like what?
So, for example, it's like they go, okay, why was that event in UK, like the Manchester one? Why did they have music in the back? And why did they have dancers? They allowed the breakers to sit on the side of the stage. Okay. But then I went to Korea and we could only sit in the audience.
So the format of the WDSF events in each country is run by the Dance Sport England people, not
here was Breaking GB, because they take control.
Sure. But technically they would have had to sign that off.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like every country that does an event
runs their own
event, which is why it's different, which is why some countries they go to, Stefani knows, and you're like, well, the floor was crap and we had to walk through dirt to get there. And then you go to another country and you're like, oh my God, it was so great. They took care of us. And people go, the WDSF need to sort this out. And it's like, it's not the WDSF that sort that out. It's the country.
So it looks like the WDSF are doing loads of different things, but in reality, it's just they're the governing body for all these different organizations.
Exactly. And what happens is the reason why that is because the country buys the license to do the event. The WDSF don't go, UK, you have to do an event. The UK says we want to do an event. And then they go to the WDSF to buy the license and blah, 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 blah.
But in order to run an event, like say Breaking GB under Dance Sport England run an event, right? Do they have to, do you know like to what extent they have to tick everything off with WDSF? Because say for example, like if I was to buy the franchise or like pay for the right to run Just Taboo UK or to run IBE in UK, they would, and this is also for people at home who don't know this, but they would send me a list of requirements. They would say, I say I would want to pay to, let's say IBE, because it's just a random one. Like I want to run an IBE qualifier in the UK. I'm going to pay a certain amount just for the name to be called and to have a franchise, right? They would send me a list and say, yes, but you have to have this much capacity for audience. The floor has to be this size. You have to put on these categories. You have to, you know, it can be extensive or not, but there's a certain level of things that say, even if you pay us, you still have to tick all these boxes for us to say, it's an IB qualifier.
That's in there is a handbook, and there's a certain size the floor has to be.
Right. So if you're Dance Sport England, you have to tick all these off with.
There's a certain size the floor has to be.
Yeah.
There's a certain distance the judges have to be from the floor. From the floor. There's a certain number of judges. I think minimum 7, because in Canada they had 7. They have to, like, judges. There has to be 1 from each country. You know what I mean? You have to have a chair. You have to have a head judge. So there's these things, but what it is there's the things that like happen, and you just kind of see it. Like, okay, there's the judges there. They're from different countries. The floor is there. Blah 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 blah. Those things you have to tick off. Now, but as far as I know, there's nothing like you have to do like anti-doping. Like you automatically become a part of the anti-doping pool,
right?
And you have to do that in your country. So in UK, what most people don't know is everyone who made, I think, the knockout stage had to do anti-doping as soon as you lost.
In where?
In Manchester.
Okay.
So as soon as they lost, they had to go do anti-doping.
Wow.
And UK is hot on anti-doping, but you might go to.
How do you do that? You pee in a thing?
Yeah, there's a room. You go there. You have to pee in the cup, and they test it. You know, UK is hot on anti-doping, but if you go to another country and they're not super hot on it, it might not happen because it's the country that has to actually do it.
But it's like a requirement from WDSF, but the execution
has to be on the country because number one, it's the country's anti-doping. And and so they have to bring them in, blah blah blah. If you have issues, you can always go back to the WDSF and go,
we've got this issue, fucking it up,
blah 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 blah, and then the WDSF can come in and go, okay, we have to fix this. But they can't. If you look at it, they're an organization, but they can't do every country around the world. Look how many at WDSF. So it's on the countries, which is why some events aren't as good as other events, because those are the little things where the WDSF might be like, well, we couldn't do anything, that you had to walk over grass to get to there.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I guess for you guys, like those things where the judges and there's a certain amount of judges and all that, that's one thing, but they might not have tick boxes for like hospitality stuff of like, how warm the venue is, or, all these other bits where it's like, you might have a great time in one country and a horrible time in other, but it might not be because of any of those elements. It might be because of, like Manny was saying, like the floor is crap or, whatever, this type of thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, but that's important. So then basically you kind of know who's at fault if something goes wrong,
right?
And not because not because everyone just goes WDSF, and sometimes I'm like, guys, no, that was the country, or that was this, or it's your sporting organization. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now when it comes to the actual qualification,
yes,
this is important because the WDSF set the qualification system. They do that. They do the points.
So if you are going to blame them for something, it's this.
Yeah, those will go to them. The points and the ranking, they do that, right? So how it basically works is that there's 3 levels.
Okay. I'm like trying to switch my brain on. Here we go.
And I'm going to make sure I got this right, but I believe I got it right. But Stephanie might be able to know. There's the top level is the World Series events. Those are all the championship events, the big ones.
Like is it Japan or Korea where everyone went?
Like the European Games.
European Games.
They had the championships in Korea, WDSF championships in Korea.
Yeah, like last year or something. Right?
Yeah. 2022 Phil Wizard won that.
Yes.
They had just had the Pan Ams in Chile, which is the one I was judging at, and that was the Pan Am championships.
So that's all world.
Those are world
championships. Okay.
Right? Yeah. This is the biggest one because these give you the most points, basically. Yeah. If you win, you get the most points.
Yeah.
And also, based on those events, you can go to the European Games if you win one, or you can go to the World Final to try and get to the Olympics. So depending where you rank in those, they are taking... What happens with the athletes is if you do well at a world one, they get nominated to then go to another event. They go, okay, you done good at the European Championships, which is why Stefani can get nominated maybe to go to the final European Championships, which is going to decide who goes to the Olympics.
I'm getting lost.
The confusing here's the confusing thing.
Yeah.
They're called the same thing. So in Spain, they had the European Championships.
Yes.
In Poland, they've got the European Championships.
European Games.
Oh, sorry, European Games. Yes, there we go.
Championships and the
there's
games.
Yes, you see.
The difference was like with the championship, you're like qualifying for the games.
Yes.
And the games, you're like for the first place. You go in straight to Olympic Games. Yes. You're not taking part in OQS.
So
you have world level, you have world championship, world games.
Yes.
European championship, European games. Actually, it's more like this. So like the European Championship qualifies you for European games.
You know what? Let's take the games out for a minute. We'll take it out because then it'll make it easier. She's right. Let's just go for the qualification of how you get points.
Okay.
You got the world events, which give you the most points.
Yeah.
Then you've got international events, which give you the second most points. Then you got Challenger Series, which gives you the least amount of points. So those are the 3 levels.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, whichever one you hit. So Challenger, International, World.
And there's no, like, for example, is the location built in? So like say with the Red Bull ciphers, it used to be like there would be the UK cipher, the France cipher, blah blah, but then there would be a European cipher which would be in Europe. So do they have that type of thing?
This is going to come into play later.
Okay.
This is where it gets complicated.
Cool.
So just think like
that's where it gets complicated.
Challenger, International, World are where you get your points.
Yeah.
And based on those points, you get put in the rankings.
Yeah.
Right? Now you have to understand there's 2 rankings.
Okay.
There's not one. There's the world ranking.
Yeah.
And Olympic ranking.
And the Olympic ranking. Yeah. The world ranking is because basically now this is why it's like it's a bit mad.
Okay.
The difference between the 2 rankings is one ranking only lasts for a year. So your points,
you're ranked within the year.
Yeah. And the other ranking lasts a bit longer, like up until the OQS or after the OQS, but it lasts a bit longer. And that's why there's 2 rankings. And one is the breaking for gold ranking and one is the world ranking. So there's 2. But when you go on it, if Stefani does every event, the points are the same. The rankings, you know what I mean? It's just that after a year, one ranking is just finished now. And then we start again. The other one is the one that continues. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you don't really need to know this.
Okay.
If to be honest, if you don't know this, it doesn't change anything.
Okay.
All you need to know is Challenger 3rd, International 2nd, World top, and that whichever one you go to.
And these are the points ones.
And and the way you get ranked.
Yeah. And there's nothing in those where you can automatically get.
Now this is where we get to the next part.
Cool.
So now, based on your ranking, you have the games.
So hold on. So in that you've got the year-long ranking and the longer ranking.
Yes.
Based on which ranking?
Based on let's just look at the events and then we'll go back to these 2 rankings.
Okay. You mean you're ranking in the event?
Yeah, no, you're ranking on the breaking for gold. So so let's just say there's 1 ranking. Forget 2 for now.
So the ranking that's related to that one.
So you have events that give you points.
Yeah.
And then you have the games.
Okay.
And the games is based on the region. So you have the European games.
Yes.
You got the Asian games.
Yes.
You got the Pan Am games. You got the Oceania games.
And the European games is the one that was in Manchester.
So no.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No. Yeah, see, Manchester was a lead up to the European games.
Oh, the European games is what's coming up.
Yes.
In Poland.
In Poland. Okay.
And the thing that separates the games is the winners of the games go direct to the Olympics.
And this is the thing that Karam and Sonny got announced as Team GB.
Because they're going. Yes, because the games, the difference between the games and the other 3 is when you do the other 3, you're just going as a breaker for your country. The games is an Olympic qualifier. So that's why Sonny and Karam are now on Team GB for the games.
So that's their first official Team GB outing.
Yes.
Is to that games.
And this is another mistake people make. They go, but I thought you got on your Olympic team just by being a breaker. No, you're just a breaker going to events occurring points. But the minute you go to an event that can get you directly to the Olympics, you're going with your team. So she's going as part of the Ukrainian team. She's, you know, so.
But this, even though you've represented the Ukraine in all the WDSF stuff, this is your first time as an official Ukrainian Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
You see, so.
This makes sense. So the games are the next level.
The next level. And the winners of the games go to the winning B-boy and winning B-girl go directly to the Olympics, which means they're in the Olympics.
And you were kind of saying earlier about the prelim, like do they still have to do prelims when they get there?
There's no prelims, and this is what makes the games different. It's only the dancers that get invited.
No, I mean in the Olympics, if you win the European games, you go to the Olympics.
Yeah.
But as in you go to the Olympics straight to top 16 or...
Yeah, there's only 16 breakers going. So you become one of the 16 breakers in the Olympics. So Africa has already done it. So they already have a B-boy and a B-girl that are already going into the Olympics. So in the top 16, you're going regardless.
So, okay, I'll let you carry on because I have more questions.
So we've got the games, right?
So after Poland, we will know the 2 for Europe.
Yes, that are going straight to the
Holy
Olympics.
Shit.
So Stefani could be going straight to the Olympics
when
end
is Poland?
of this month.
So it's going to be on Monday.
Holy shit.
And the list is already up of the 16 breakers, 16 B-boys, 16 B-girls that are going to be there. The list is already up.
They've qualified from where?
So now this is where it gets a bit complicated.
Man, I need to tune in for this. This is on Monday.
Yeah.
Now this is the part where, to be honest, I'm going to explain it, but if you don't, but if it doesn't matter if you don't get it.
Yeah.
What happens is so that's why you do European world events, you right? Not the games. You go back to the world.
Yeah, the lower.
So in Manchester, the top 3 breakers on that podium went direct to European games.
Right. So that's how Karam got into Poland.
Top two. Oh yeah, top 2. It was top 2,
and
not
to
top 3.
be honest, I think they decided from this year. So Manchester didn't count. It's just from this year. So the European Championship.
So first 2 or first 3.
Oh no, sorry, 4.
Yeah, no. But what happened was,
4.
I know what you mean, because it was sorry, she's right. So the top.
No. Yeah, Manchester.
Because they changed something. Because so in Manchester, the top. This is where it gets complicated. Because the top 4 breakers went. Top 4 B girls, top 4 B boys went straight to the Poland already. Yeah. So they were already
from the games
from Manchester. They were going straight to the games, right? That's how it was. And then they said, okay, we've got the people for the games. But then they realized that because this is a new system, they changed it a little bit, and the games weren't supposed to be open. What it was supposed to be is that they was going to get like the top breakers, 1 breaker from each country who was the top rank to go, something like this. And then they changed it and they said, because we want to make it fairer, we're going to do another European one, which was in Spain. Yeah. And then the top breakers from that are also going to go. And then they looked at the ranking and then they picked from the ranking to also go. This is what I believe happened. Yeah. But they picked from more than one source. Whereas originally they weren't going to do that. It was just 1 European go. So the people go, basically the best way to look at it is like this. The people go into Poland are the top 4 from Spain, the top 4 from Manchester, and then the top ranked. This is where the two.
What if there's a crossover? What if you're top ranked and top 4 in Manchester or something?
Then they just default to the next one in the ranking. But this is where the 2 ranking comes in. Yeah. Because they look at your world ranking, I believe, to go to European games.
Which is
not the second one. I'm going to look up in a minute.
Within this year, that's why you were saying.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And so they pick from that ranking to fill the other spots. And that's why it gets complicated, because you have to know which events they're taking people from.
So how did you qualify?
Spain,
I took 2nd place in Spain.
So, okay, that was against Nika.
Yes.
So when you did that, that was what qualified you for the Poland European Games.
And for OQS. It's another thing.
Yes, OQS is the next thing we'll move on to. So
okay.
So then there's another thing. So
wait, and how did Karam and Sunny?
Karam's already qualified in Manchester. Sunny got to.
But I thought they weren't counting Manchester.
No, they were.
Oh,
that
okay.
She got
Oh, so they were, but they were just counting other things as well.
Yeah, so Manchester.
So he qualified from Manchester,
and Sunny qualified from Spain.
No, I think from ranking.
From ranking. Oh yeah, because he got top 8 in Spain, right? No, he didn't make it out of round robin. He got round robin, so he qualified from the ranking. She's right. Yeah. So if you got in the ranking, Sunny should be in the top 16. But technically, you can only bring 2 dancers from each country. Yeah. So if
he's probably somewhere down there.
Yeah, so he's in the ranking, and so that's how he got there.
Okay.
So that's why it gets complicated, because and unless you're a geek about it, it's kind of not worth trying to figure all that out. You may as well just say they're the top breakers, and
Yeah.
So now we have the points, the ones that give you points.
Yeah.
The games that get you directly to the Olympics.
Yeah.
We have one more, which is the WDSF Championships, which is happening in September in Belgium.
Okay.
The difference between the games and this one event is the games are regional. So the European Games is only Europe. The Asian Games is only Asia. The World Championships in Belgium is open to the whole world.
Has that happened before?
No, it's happening in September.
Like there hasn't been another one before this?
They have, but not to go to the Olympics.
Okay,
so they had WDSF Championships each year, but this one gets you direct to the Olympics.
Got ya.
So in September in Belgium, I think it's 2 breakers, 2 B-boys. It might be 3, I always forget. It's 2 or 3 B-boys from each country can go to Belgium, and the winner of that, the B-boy and the B-girl go direct to the Olympics.
And how do you get qualified for that?
You have to be top ranked in your country, and you have to be top. Basically, the country can pick. It's up to the country, but they're going to pick, like America's going to pick between Victor, Gravity and Jeffro, because they're the top 3 as far as I know. Do you know what I mean? UK is going to be picking between Sunny, Karam and Sheku, unless one of them qualifies already.
But how many of them can go?
Only two or three. I have to check. Is it two? Is it two? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see,
so they can send
with Ukraine, it's going to be between her, Killer Kim, and Kate.
Mm-hmm.
And then they send them, and that's open to the world and the winners of that. So that's how you basically. There's 7 ways. There will be 7 spots filled through those 6 spots. The 5 games and the World Championships go direct to the Olympics.
5 games being the European,
the European, the Asian, the Oceania, the Africa, and the Pan America.
And then the World Championships.
World Championship.
That's 6.
6 plus France automatically get a space, but it's not through.
Oh, because it's their country.
Yeah, and that's going to be done in a certain way. Now you come to the OQS.
So that's 7 spots out of how many?
Out of 16.
Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So now you come to the OQS.
Okay.
The OQS stands for the Olympic Qualifying Series.
Okay.
Not to be confused, because people confuse this, everyone. The system is called the Olympic Qualification System. And then the OQS is the Olympic Qualifying Series. So because it's both OQS, sometimes people say you're like, no, the OQS is the series.
Not
the
the
other one's
system.
not the system. The system is the qualification before that. So
I feel sorry for you that you have to learn all this stuff.
So now the OQS.
Have you
I
seen
didn't even imagine that it's so like complicated.
Yeah, you now have a degree.
It's like
A degree in breaking systems. Yeah.
So now the OQS is the last series of events where you can go to get to the Olympics. And
so there's another 8 spots because 7 plus France's spot. Is that 8?
No.
5 plus the World
6
Championship.
plus the French is
7.
seven.
That's 7. Okay, so there's
7.
9 spots left.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the 7th, am I missing
From the
one?
OQS, it's just going to go 7.
Yes.
Just 7 B-boys, 7 B-girls from the OQS going to the Olympic Games.
So,
okay.
And the reason why it works like that is this. The OQS is 40 B-boys and 40 B-girls go to the OQS.
And it's like they're in a series of
There's
events.
going to be a series of events in different countries. There's like 3 countries, I think.
So that's why you said you got qualified to be in that pool of 40.
Yes, she's
from
already in it.
Spain.
From Spain.
Yes, because every
Congrats.
games
Yeah.
as well, because the OQS is made up of certain things, right?
Yes.
So every games, if you qualify in the top 3 or 4, you go automatically to the OQS.
So the number 1 goes straight to the Olympics. The rest of them
Go
and
to the OQS.
The top one doesn't need to. 'Cause they're
No,
already
the
in
top one's in the Olympics.
Okay.
So if Stefani goes to Poland and gets second, I mean, she's already in OQS, but if she wasn't, she'd go to OQS.
Right.
If someone else gets second who's not in OQS, they go straight to OQS.
So if you win, you go to the Olympics. If you don't win, but you come in the top place, you go to the OQS, where you have another chance to
make to the Olympics, right? So
I'm doing well so far.
yeah,
guys.
you're doing well. The numbers will mess up. So
Yeah.
So you
Oh
have
my.
that way to get to the OQS. Then you have, I think, the 7 top ranked B-boys and B-girls who aren't already in the OQS go to the OQS.
Got ya.
Then you have the universal spots.
So actually, sorry, just to say,
Actually, I think it's 11.
so
but
if you're in
numbers
that
are fucked up.
ranking and you're not in the OQS,
Yeah.
let's say, for example, Stephanie's above me. Like, let's say I'm number 8 and she's number 7. I'm actually rooting for you to win the games because it means you're out of my.
Exactly.
Like, so if you win a games, like say in Spain,
Yeah.
if you win in Spain and I'm below you, it means you're automatically qualified. So now I'm automatically qualified. So if I'm not going to beat you in that Spain battle, I want you to win the whole thing so that I can get bumped up and qualify.
And this is why it starts to get strategic.
This
where
is
people
like
should be
chess.
looking at your ranking. If you're in the OQS, what events you should. That's why she can chill. She's like, I didn't need to go to Madrid.
Which
I'm in
is-
the OQS.
yes.
And then because she's going to Poland, she's like, and if I win Poland, I'm in the Olympics, and then I'm good.
Don't even need to do
But if she
OQS.
doesn't win
Yeah.
Poland, she's still like, I'm going to the OQS regardless.
Yeah.
So either way, she's still gonna she's going down to the wire to get to the Olympics.
And
you know?
that's why you said Madrid was a challenger series, which is the least amount of points
Yes. Challenge.
of the 3. So even if you weren't qualified, that's still like, I mean, even if you didn't win, come second in Spain,
Yeah.
Madrid still wouldn't have been that important because you still were good in the rankings
It's good to collect the points to be always like
at the top. Yeah.
in the top. So, but it's not like it's better to go to some. You have more chance, for example, to go to some World Series and like take I don't know, be in top 8, and you will collect more points than if you go to Madrid and take a third place,
The points is off because it's kind of like the highest points for Challenger Series is something like the 12th or 13th highest points on the world. So if you're winning world events, you're already ahead a lot,
right?
It's just the points is like that. So okay, I do have the numbers actually.
So now OQS.
So OQS, 40 B-boys, 40 B-girls. Yeah, 10 breakers come from the highest ranked from the WDSF championship events.
Yeah, minus the ones who are already qualified.
Yep. 10 breakers from the Continental Games, which is the games. 28 breakers come from the actual breaking for gold ranking.
The games is all the
games
Continental
going on.
Games, yeah.
So that's 40, and this is like half. So 14 B-boys, 14 B-girls. Yeah.
14 or 40?
14.
One. Basically, everything I'm saying, 80 breakers. They say 80 breakers.
Oh, 40, sorry.
Yeah. So then
40,
now, so the number 80 breakers is always half boys, half B-girls.
Sure.
So when I say 10 breakers from the WSF championships, that's 5 B-boys, 5 B-girls. 10 breakers from the games, 5 B-boys, 5 B-girls. 28 breakers from the actual breaking for gold ranking, 14 B-boys, 14 B-girls. 6 breakers from the host countries. So where the OQS is, the countries that do it, they get to put in breakers.
So hold on. So the series, will it all be in one country?
No, it's going to be in more than one. So basically when it moves, whoever's doing it in that country gets 3 B-boys and 3 B-girls.
But how would that, because if there's an overall pool of breakers that can compete in all of these things. Oh, because once you do one event.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, so, all right. So if let's say I'm French.
Yeah.
Voila.
Exactly. She's like.
Let's say I'm French, right?
Yeah.
And because there's a series event there's an OQS.
Let's not say French because French comes up later. Let's say German.
Let's say I'm German. And there's a OQS event in my country.
Yes.
I get put in as, I'm not ranked or I'm not qualified, but I get put in because I'm from the country that's hosting that event.
Yes, but to get put in, I think you have to at least be ranked at a certain number on the actual ranking.
But
so you can't just chuck in a random breaker.
Right.
They have to rank, everyone on here that's like thrown in has to meet, I think they have to be in the top 30 or top 20.
But you don't have to be high enough to have qualified already.
No.
You can be lower. So let's say I'm that, right? And I qualify. I enter the battle. Yeah. Let's say I do top 16 or whatever, right? Then when it moves to Spain next time, I can't now enter that series.
Unless because unless you're ranked in a certain place, it's only for when it's in your country.
So, and if you win an OQS, you go straight to the Olympics.
The OQS is going to be an accumulation of points as far as I know till the end. There's a ranking. There'll be an OQS ranking.
So what use is it me entering from the host country?
To be honest, this one I'd have to look more into.
Yeah.
But I would guess that it's giving you a chance as the person in the country to rank higher. And if you rank certain places in the OQS, you should be able to then go to the other one. Because the OQS is going to be a ranking, right?
So those OQS points are going to accumulate, but outside of the OQS as well for the rest of it.
I believe so. But this one, when it says the host country, I don't really know how that works. I'll be honest. I just know the host country gets 3 B-boys, 3 B-girls.
Okay.
And I have put TBC. I put on here, so maybe it's going to change.
Okay.
Then you've got the universality selection.
Okay.
Four breakers. As far as I know, this rule is based on basically if you're from a country that doesn't have enough money to travel, you're from a poor country, they don't have the resources. This is something you apply for. I've tried to look up how you apply for it. I haven't really seen it. I just know when they announce it like the month before, and you apply for it. And if you get it, you get in the OQS. So it's 4 countries with lower resources as far as I know, because it's to make it fair.
Yeah, and they're like, I haven't been able to go to all these other games.
Yeah, because
to qualify,
so that's.
But do you get any like funding towards the shit or not really?
I believe so, because if they're doing universality, then how are you going to get?
They help you to come out to compete in that.
But I've tried to look up the application process. I can't find it.
Because what I'm thinking is like, all right, so say you've got however many series in this OQS thing, and you're saying that it's not about so say for example Poland, if you win, you're straight in the Olympics. That's even if you never entered anything, but like after this, but that's your one shot to try to get to the Olympics, right? If there's a series,
yes,
and it ranks up points, me just entering one event of the series is basically useless. I would
No, not really, because when we're gonna go on, I'll tell you why.
Cool.
So there's a like a caveat. Okay. So but then you have France being the host country.
Yeah.
They get 2 breakers automatically
in every
in the OQS. They get 2 breakers automatically.
But like, in the pool.
Yes, but those breakers have to be ranked. I haven't written it here. Every break, the automatic, the breakers from France have to be ranked at a certain level. I think top 24 if to get them in, right? So that's the OQS. Now, when it comes to the winners, the 7 top ranked B-boys and B-girls go to the Olympics from the OQS.
Right.
When it comes to the host country, the breakers from France have to at least be ranked top 24. If they get ranked top 24 in OQS, they go Olympics. And the same with universality. If they get ranked top 24, they go to Olympics. So that's kind of like the caveat. The host country thing is the one I have to look at.
We'll help you out because you're the host country, but you can't be shit.
Yeah, and we'll put you in if you've got lower resources. Yeah. But then you might go, but I'm not experienced enough. They go, it doesn't matter. You just got to get top 24. Yeah, so you have to have a certain level.
So, but this is what I'm confused about. So you said like France get in the pool. Each place that it's held get people in the pool.
Yeah.
But if those events are in all different countries, right? Yeah. Let's say I'm German or whatever, am I in the pool that's allowed to compete in all of those because one of the events was in my country? Yeah. Or am I only allowed to compete in the event that my country...
That's just the host country rule. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
That's what
everyone else in the OQS is in the OQS.
Okay.
It says the host country, but it says TBC, and sometimes with this whole thing...
It changes.
It changes because... And I've tried to... And those ones are... It's probably in the Olympic charter somewhere where it says that.
I have a question. The 40 people that are competing, they're always the same for the whole series then?
Apart from the host country. I think that's the only one.
The question
but the rest, that's the question mark.
Okay.
The rest of them, yes, which is why Stefani's in OQS. She's doing all the events regardless unless she already automatically goes.
So when the OQS... Not English. I am really French. When's the OQS? When does it start?
It starts whenever 3 months. It's 3 months.
Yeah.
Is it June or it ends in June?
But you still have to like pay for your travel to
in June
go there,
in
and
June.
like all the people in there still have to pay to be.
The federation of
your country will cover. Okay. Yeah.
If you're and that's another thing people have to know. But yeah, the OQS either starts in June or ends in June. So it's either 3 months before June or it starts in because then the Olympics is in August next year. So it ends in June.
So that means
it should be May. No, April.
March.
March. Yeah, March. Right, because June 6th. So March, April, May ends in June. Yeah. So it's 3 months of.
So by May next year, we will have the top 40 breakers.
For the OQS.
40 B girls and 40 B boys?
Yes.
Yeah.
And those are like, okay, now we're getting to the serious shit. The people in that are like the best in the world. That's the top 40 in the world for all this shit. And that's when, let's say, for the casual viewer, that's when you start paying attention.
That's when you start paying attention. And the thing you need to know as well, there's all these little things.
Because sorry, I don't mean start paying attention in the sense of like don't watch the other battles, but I mean in the sense of it gets way less confusing.
It's
it's the playoffs.
The playoffs.
So once we get to that, OQS, once you hear OQS, it means these are the last 40 left in. The top ranked of those go into the Olympics, and there might be some already people who are already there, but these are the last chance.
6 B-boys and 6 B-girls will already be there.
Got ya.
And then there's another rule.
France. 6
Yeah, but the thing about the French rule is they get a spot, definitely. I think they worked that out from the top ranking, but they do get a spot, so it should be 7.
That is yet.
I don't know when you'll find that out.
Okay,
I don't know when. I don't know.
All right, so that'll be exciting.
But the other rule is that only 2 breakers from 2 B-boys and 2 B-girls from each country can go to the Olympics. So if if say Phil Wizard wins let's go European Games, right? If Stefani wins the European Games, she's going direct to the Olympics. That means Killer Kim and Kate, only one of them can now go. Because you can't have more than 2.
So hold on. Let me comprehend this. So Kim and Kate are the other 2, yeah?
Yeah, Killer Kim.
So if you win, you go straight to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Or let's assume, because are the other 2, are they in the OQS yet? Kim and Kate. No.
They're not.
But they could be?
They could be.
So if all three of you get into the OQS,
Yeah.
because you're already in it, let's say before Monday, the other two get in, but then if you're all three in the OQS, you get taken out technically because you win in Poland?
Yeah.
Yeah, you win in Poland. So then, is it fun?
If I win in Poland, I'm not anymore in OQS.
Yes, so you get taken out.
Yeah.
Killer Kim and Kate, let's imagine they're still in the OQS.
Yeah.
Even if they both get ranked top 7, only one of them can go.
Yes.
So whoever's
gonna
ranked,
be, yeah.
so if one's third place and one's fourth place, third place is going. So it's still intense between the country.
Yes.
Holy shit.
So
this is going to be exciting.
So it's like, so when you're watching, you have to have all these things into account. That's why I'm like, a lot of the ways people, all you really need to know though, push comes to shove, is the events that give you points. World, Challenge, International.
Yeah.
Watch the games, because the people from that go direct to the Olympics, and then watch the OQS.
Yeah.
If you want to find out how people got everywhere, that's for me, that's the geeky fan. How'd you get there? But all you need to know is watch the points ones, watch the games. Those go direct.
Games winners go straight in. They're almost like it's like the you know the bullet in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So you get that, you're straight in.
Yeah,
like,
you're
top.
in.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
And then OQS is the like final
last
chance.
ditch effort, and then you have also watched the World Championships in Belgium, because they go direct. Yeah. So as long as you understand those ones.
And Poland is a European games. That's part of the Continental Games. That's on Monday. Yeah. World Championships in Belgium is when?
September.
Is in September. Then the OQS starts in March.
You see, so
we got there, guys.
And if you want to know, Asian Games is in October. I don't know when the Pan Ams are, but yeah. So those are the stages. Everything else is just if you really want to know. But it's so like, because the Olympic has to have these. They have to be fair. They have to give people a chance. They have to do it on rankings, on points, on da 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 da.
So what happens if then? What happens if you? So what happens if 2 people from your country qualify, let's say in the games? So like if you qualified in one games and then Kim qualified in the other games, right? Then they would have already 2 people from Ukraine in the Olympics.
But she can't qualify in 2 games because the games are regional. So there's only one European
just
games.
one European games.
So what would have to happen is, but it wouldn't really matter. Maybe, Stefani wins and Kim. Stephanie could win.
I can win European games. Kim can win, for example, the world.
She can win the world. The world is
in Belgium.
Yes.
Then what? So then, let's say if Kate, let's say you won European, Kim won the world in Belgium. And if Kate then qualified for the OQS, there's no point.
No point.
So she can win the OQS and she could be top ranked.
I think she will not allow to
they
compete.
Wouldn't.
They just take her out.
Because the spots are taken. Because all this is to take Olympic spots.
Right.
If 2 spots
So
are
not
gone,
wasting it.
it's a wrap for your country. You can't get any more in. So there's no point in her being there because you're just taking a spot that doesn't qualify anymore.
So the best case for your country is that you have 2 people that qualify before we even get to the OQS. That's one best case scenario. Or the other best case scenario is that you have nobody qualify for the Olympics, but you have only 2 people that go into the OQS. So like, let's say for example, because we don't have anyone from the UK qualified for the Olympics yet, do we?
No.
So let's say Karam and Sunny don't win anything, but they get into the OQS.
Yeah.
Then they both place in the top. That's best case scenario, so that nobody's like fucked basically.
Yeah, they have to be in top 7.
Yeah.
So it's all about, and
so it's really like a juggle of like, okay, what's the best way to do this?
And the thing is, to be honest, it's like most breakers don't, because it's complicated. A lot of breakers are just doing all the events, like doing it all, and they were burning themselves out. But then it was asking them like, how many ranking points do you have? Can you be caught? If you can't be caught and you're already in the OQS, you're like, well, why don't you just ease off and just do Belgium and just do, are you in the games? Yeah. So, go do the games. And it's a bit like if you look at Stefani, you're like, okay, she just won champs. She got the final in Europe, right? So technically, even if, and Victor apparently was doing this, imagine even Stefani, like points wise, she wasn't ranked that high, but because she got to the European Games, she could be like, well, I'm not even going to try to do points. I'm just going to take my chance. I'm going to go to Poland, do that, and if I don't win that, then I'll go to Belgium.
This is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you see.
There we go.
And then all she has to do is be like, well, I don't even have to win. I just need to rank top 2nd or 3rd, and I go OQS anyway.
Yeah.
And someone
Right.
told me
So-
Victor was doing that because he weren't doing a lot of events. And someone told me that he was super busy, so he said, "I'm only going to go."
No, I think it's because of his federation. They didn't send him.
Yeah, they didn't send him at first.
Yeah.
They didn't.
So
And
you're gonna try and win on Monday,
Yes, on
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Sorry, and if you don't win there, you're in the OQS already.
Yeah.
So then all you have to do is to rank in the top seven.
Seven.
In OQS.
And she can still do Belgium because
And you can
Belgium's
still
the
do
world.
Belgium.
So in reality, if you don't win your games, go to Belgium.
Yeah,
So you've got basically 3 chances,
Yeah.
yeah.
and your worst case scenario is that you have to place top 7 in OQS, and you've already been placing top 7 in a lot of these things. So that's not that difficult for you.
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be. In theory, it shouldn't be that difficult.
And in theory-
Also
I
the
don't think it's gonna be as difficult because already the people who already now ranking like so high,
Yeah.
they might win the games
And
or
get
the
taken out.
world, taken out. So
Because you're already taking people
Yeah.
out of the good pools, and now it's like you don't have to be top 7 in the world. You just have to be top 7 out
In
of
the
who's left.
OQS.
yeah, yes,
And she's got to imagine it like, if Stephanie was like, oh, I've only lost to maybe Nika and Ami this year, like, and then they already go. She's like, well,
Yeah,
my
who
2
else is beating me?
competition. She's like, I've beat
Yeah.
everyone else. I just need to do it again in the
Yeah.
OQS, So it's like, this is where it starts to, where you have to, as a breaker, really look at when it comes to the OQS, finally, you have to be like, who's in and have I beaten them? And if you haven't beaten them, that's when you better start training for them. Like Mad Max might go, I have to train for Stephanie if me and her in the OQS, because last time we met, she beat me.
Yeah.
She's my competition. Yeah, she can still rank top 7 together, but you want to secure it. So you're like, I have to train for Stephanie because I want to get above her to secure it. Do you know what I mean? So that's when you can start really looking at who you have to beat. Now, like you can tell everyone to go Belgium, but that doesn't mean they're gonna go.
Yeah,
if they don't got the money, or if maybe they just for what they get, they decide. Who knows?
Interesting.
So-
So then, okay, so now we have our
wow,
top.
you guys motivated me. I wanna go practice.
Clear the floor. Let's go. Roll the carpet up.
So now we have the top 16 for the Olympics.
Yeah.
So when the Olympics comes,
Wait, I have a question.
Go.
Because there was 14 people.
Hold the mic.
Yeah, this is what I wanted to say.
Oh, that was 14. Okay,
just
go.
14. So there is 2 places for the countries who don't have any funding.
That was
and-
the-
That's
that's for the
universality.
Olympics.
Yeah, that's universality.
Oh,
places.
that's
Those are the 2 places.
Girls and big girls
but
gonna
they
be
get it for the
picked straight
OQS as
away.
well, or
They
no,
get-
just for the
They
Olympics.
straight to the Olympics.
So no. What it is, no,
shit.
straight. They get universality, go to the OQS.
Yeah.
But in the OQS, they have to rank top 24. If they rank so they don't have to go to top 7. If they rank
Yeah.
top 24,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
go direct
So
to
it's
Olympics.
almost like a little.
What about if they don't?
So
Then they're not
also,
in. Yeah.
if you don't, then the ranking of top 7 goes to top 9. You see what I mean? So you might be number 9, go, crap, I'm not going to make it now. And then someone calls you and goes, nah, so-and-so lost. They didn't make top 24, you're in. So it's going to be down to the wire.
So if you apply for the, what do you call it?
Universality.
Universal. If you apply for that, you get put into the OQS almost as a tester of like,
Yes.
we want to send you straight to the Olympics. All you have to do is just get top 25 to show us that
24.
you're top
Yeah.
24 to show us that you're of a decent level.
Exactly.
And then if you can do that, you're straight in the Olympics. If you can't, we're going to put one of these.
Same
good
with the one spot
people
for
in.
France. France get one spot in the
If
OQS.
they can have
and if
passed
they
that
rank
test.
top 24, they go straight to Olympics.
Because technically,
If
you
not-
could, like you could just have some person that's been breaking for 3 days
Yeah.
and be like, well, we're the host country, they're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how the hell did they get in? So
Yeah.
it's a little like buffer to be like, are you sure that
Exactly.
you don't have to be the best, but you have to, get into a certain level. That's
So you have better time to go to OQS. Like there's so many chances to
Yeah,
qualify.
and that's the whole point, because the whole point of sport in the Olympics is to make it fair. So it's not fair if you just like, oh, just battle and we'll just pick the top. They're like, but what about the countries that can't afford it? What about countries that don't have the resources? Do you know what I mean? And if you're the host country, you get an automatic spot because you're putting on the games, and that's part of why breaking got into the Olympics, because France was the host country and they were the ones that basically,
and they've got a strong
nominated it to get in, was one. You know what I mean? So there's all these little rules because the Olympics tries, even like the whole thing of now this year they're trying to do more sports which are equal men and women, which is why breaking was also seen as a good sport, because we've got B-boys and B-girls, and so they're always trying to make it more fair and more inclusive of like countries and people and stuff like that.
Nice.
Sick.
So, but then what
you got a strong chance of getting in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Steph, yeah.
Let's go.
There's like, I always say this, when you look at B-girls, there's probably like you could do 32, and you're like, we know the 32. We kind of know, like, let's be honest, like Ami, Nika, 671 will probably be like, okay, those three should make it. And then you have the Stefanis, the Kates, the Vanessas, the Mad Maxes, the Yantis, and you're like amongst them, there's probably about 20 of them, and you're like, okay, it's gonna come down to the wire for some, but watching events mostly, you're like, well, Stefani's making finals and winning consistently. You're like, well, it's gonna, B-girls better train, because she's gonna be one of the problems for you. Do you know what I mean? If you don't train, she's beating you already.
I mean, it's like what you said, like anyone can win on any day, and that works against you as well, because it means anyone could lose on any day. But it's also like, if you look, this is also the good thing about these leagues and stuff, is like, if you look across the spectrum, you see how many times this person has come top, and you're like, okay, they've got a good chance.
And I think, just add on, but again, some things is hard to find. Your ranking there's like the girl who's going direct to the Olympics for Africa she done an event after that. But I think they do events because your final ranking will decide your round robin in the Olympics.
Okay, so this is what I was going to ask, is when we get to that top 16 in the actual Olympics in Paris, how is that
I think that's where you'll work, because it goes straight to round robin.
So so like the WDSF has been
happening now.
Four groups of 4.
So the round robin is a group A, B, C, and D. So it's 4 groups of 4 breakers.
Yep. And how is it decided how you're put into each group?
That's for an event. It's based on your prelim. No, not your prelim. Okay, the events are a bit different, and again, it goes.
I'm making it worse. Sorry.
That's all right. So basically, depending on how many breakers enter an event, they decide if we're doing top 64, top 32, or going straight to round robin. And it's something like 96 to 107 breakers means we're going to go top 64, and then I think it's every, like, I'm not going to get too much in the number, but every like 30 down. So if it's over like 107, you do top 64. If it's below 96 to like 60 something, you do top 32. If it's below that, you go straight to top 16. So that it's
always a similar percentage of people that get through.
Exactly. So, and then based on I think it's the rounds, how many rounds you win throughout 32, top 64, blah, 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 blah. That's how they do the round robin, I think. But,
so for the Olympics?
But for the Olympics, I think it's just based on your world ranking.
So that's why people are still doing battles, is because depending on how strong their ranking is, that's where they're going to be seeded if they do get into the Olympics.
Because the Olympics is no prelim, no first. It goes straight to, like, you should have been seeded in the European Games, I think, based on your world ranking, right? Yeah. And that's so that's why even if you go direct to the Olympics, like the girl who won Africa is from Morocco. She hadn't done any events as far as I know. So it benefits her to still do events just to put her world ranking up, because then she doesn't want to be seeded last in the Olympics, and then she's going to get, and she gets
the strongest.
Yeah. Again, all these little things are like out there somewhere. Some of it is just me going like, this is what they're doing. I haven't officially been like, but it makes sense.
Well, I'm way clearer than I was 2 hours ago.
So and the Olympics is round robin. From round robin, seed it, straight knockout. But the only thing I have to check, I can't remember. Do you know if Olympics from round robin, is it just to seed the top 16, or is it going to top 8 after round robin? I haven't checked that. Top 8.
So they choose the top 2 from each group.
Again, so it's the same system that we always use. So
I think we need that system in Top Stars, but that's for another day.
But it's like, if they can get their head around it.
No, just the round. I think every battle should be qualified top 16, then do round robin.
Round robin, I've got like a love-hate relationship.
But as a breaker. As a breaker, you've got a love-hate relationship. I feel like as top stylers, we need it.
Just as a like, okay, Stephanie, 'cause for me personally, round robin, I've always said, I get why you do it, but I don't think it adds to the actual like for the audience wanting to watch.
Yeah, definitely. No,
I was going to say the opposite.
Yeah,
I feel like it's.
I watched the Manchester.
Yeah,
I've been in Manchester last year, and I watched the Robin round, and it was so boring.
Really? This is interesting because I find it the opposite.
So boring.
I find it more because you know why I like it.
Why?
As an audience member, is like because say for example, I like watching you break, right?
Yeah.
That's not an example. That's true. I do like watching you break, but like. Okay, we go to a competition. I'm like, oh, Stefani, like I watch her video, I saw her at Champs, and then you do the first round in the top 16 and you get knocked out. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but
I don't know all the rest of these big girls.
But you have to understand that it's not just me competing there. So if you want to watch me again, you have to watch another 16 people like 3 times.
True.
Yeah. So it's like all day long. It's really.
I just felt a bit more like connected to the dancers because I saw them win a few, and then it's like, oh, okay, Stefani like won the last 2. Oh, she can chill in this battle, or like she lost the last 2. Damn, I hope she wins the 3rd one. Like it made me feel a bit more like.
But here's the thing again.
Rooting for you.
I get what you're saying, which is why I get it. But I think it shouldn't be the same day as the top 8.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because because the top 8 and round robin are same day. If you're doing round in the Olympics, it will be, and so you know in Poland, right? It'll be. Is it 2 days or 1 day?
2 days.
Yeah, so that's different because the breakers get to do a round robin, do their rounds, find their seeding, go back, rechill, refresh. You come back. Now you get to see Stefani in the knockout rounds.
But that's why I think
when the same day, I'm like, this is too much. Okay. And for the breakers, it's too much.
Yeah,
and
for the dancers, definitely, I get it.
And there's and this is the thing. It's like I always say this. There's no incentive technically to win round robin. And I know that sounds funny.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is yes, you win round robin to go through the top 8. This is an incentive. But incentives in sport, if you look at all of them, it's a win. It's an actual win.
Yeah.
You don't win your round robin battles. Like it can be a draw. You just do 2 rounds.
You just get points.
There is no win. So imagine Stefani's there and she's like, okay, I won the first one, I draw the second, I draw the next. Nothing's changed because for Stefani, she's just like, okay, now I just see if I got enough rounds to get to top 8. But because as a dancer, like I always say this, it's like no dancer is counting their rounds. You're not counting, you just want to know if I won. So once you take away the win, like the reason to do round robin is for seeding. It's not for a win. Right. But now if you were battling and you understood that I need to win this battle to get into the top 8. And this is just a tweaking of how you present it. How do you present it? Stefani needs to feel like, okay, I've won the first battle. If I win the second, I'm good.
Yeah. Is that kind of more like how football is in the World Cup? It's like win or loss or draw.
Win or lose, but round robin, they literally tie the battle. It's not a win. They're just counting your rounds.
Okay.
And that's where I think it should be about winning the battle because the thing about the rounds is, and we were talking about this earlier, is the breaker can never, ever guarantee themselves rounds. You can never do it.
Okay.
So what I mean like this is you got 9 judges, right?
Yeah.
You have to win a certain amount of rounds and they count your rounds in round robin. They don't count your wins. It's the rounds. So 9 judges, 3 battles is 9 times 27, right? 9 times 3 is 27. We're going to do some maths. So you might say, if I win 27 rounds, like I get all 9 judges' votes in, 27 times 2. Because it's actually, we're not going to go. It's too much. Let's just say this. You say I have to get 9 votes, right? To get through. So I have to get as many judges voting for me. And if every battle, all judges vote for me and I kill my opponent, I'm in the top 8, right? Yeah. But we know as dancers, you've seen it in every battle. You can go out there and smash your opponent to pieces.
You're going to get one or 2.
There'll be 1 or 2 judges that still go, I know, but I think they won.
Yeah.
So if as a dancer, I can't control how many rounds I win, it's impossible. I can't now strategize and do something to guarantee me getting through.
But you can guarantee like a win because you're like, I know I can get the majority of votes.
Because I just can't if I smash this person, it doesn't matter if those two judges go that way. I got 7 votes and I'm winning. Yeah. So you can guarantee wins to an extent. They can still, but if you lose, then usually when you lose, if it's 9 judges, if you lose, you have to look at yourself and say something went wrong here.
Yeah.
So you can more guarantee a win by doing your shit than guaranteeing votes. So if you can't guarantee votes, but your qualification is based on the votes, for me, it's unfair on the dancer because it's a bit like if you watch boxing. You can't guarantee that you take the round, but you can guarantee that you go out and you try and take it. You can guarantee a round if you really put your energy in. And you see boxing events. Sometimes the coach in the corner goes, yo, you lost that last round. And the boxer goes, what? They're like, you lost, bro. Pick it up right now. And they go out with intention and they start. And Mayweather, he's the king of it. He guarantees himself rounds. He'll win 3 rounds, take a round off, and then win another 3 because he knows how to do it. You can't do that in breaking. So it's kind of unfair, I think it should just be the win.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because in boxing, if I hit this guy more than he hits me, I'm winning. If I knock him down twice, I'm winning. In MMA, if you knock someone down or you hold him down and you beat him up, I'm winning. But if they do it to me, I'm losing. In breaking, there is nothing. And in all dance, where you go, well, if I do this, I'm getting all the points.
Yeah.
You just wait and then you're like, what was that judge smoking? And we've all seen it, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I think it should just be wins.
Interesting.
I think it should just be wins. I don't think the round thing works.
Okay. That is interesting. I'm going to think about that. I still think it would be good I think just for the amount of rounds that it makes you do for top stylers, I think it would be good.
No, but rounds is good.
I think my personal opinion is, we don't need to go into this because we're probably wrapping up soon, but we get away with your system. Like as top stylers, we get away with the breaking system, which is do 1 round for like a minute or less, and then go through it. It's like we only have to do 5 rounds to win a battle, and it's like I get that as a breaker because the shit you do takes way longer to develop and stuff. But it's like, for me, my personal outlook on like popping and hip hop is like you should have way more than 5 rounds.
No, if you can do, what you're saying.
Like if you're a waving specialist and you can only do 1 round in waving, 1 round in tuts, that's not enough, man. You should have rounds and rounds.
I think I think I didn't say it clear enough. Sorry.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I'm not sorry. There's 3. This is where it gets complicated again. When I say votes, they're counting judges' votes, not the rounds you run.
Yeah.
So if Stefani does the battle and she wins round 1 and loses round 2, technically
it's the votes they count.
Yeah. So what happens in the battles in like top 64? If there's a tie, they don't do a 3rd round.
No,
they just count the votes. Yeah. But imagine Stefani kills this girl in 1 round, kills her, but one judge decides to go the other way, and then in the next one, this girl comes out and has a dope round, and that one judge that went the other way now votes for her, and then you're like, yo, but because of that one judge, like I killed her as much as she killed me, but for some reason this one judge just preferred that person. Now I'm 1 round down, and now I lose.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just counted it on winning the round, you'd go, that's 1 round each, go a 3rd round. So, and I said this to someone, the only thing that I think needs to change is the judges have way too much power to decide we have all the power. I don't care what anyone says. If you sit in that judge's seat, I've got all the power. And I don't know any other sport where judges have so much power to decide who wins. Because
like even what you were saying about boxing is like you can score the rounds even if you're trying to be biased or whatever. But if that person gets knocked out, it's undeniable.
And so you can judges rob people in boxing all the time, but you can take it out of the hands of the judges.
Just knock them out.
Or knock them down 3 times in 1 round and it's over.
Right.
Doesn't exist in breaking. So we have in gymnastics, the moves are scored. So as a judge, you can't cheat them because it's so obvious. In breaking, it's always, and dance styles, the judges are we're going to decide for you. There's nothing Stefani can do if for whatever reason I'm like, I don't like her style, I like this style.
Like
no.
Can do it.
There's nothing she can do. There's no way for her to stop me taking me out of the equation.
I wonder if that's like a thing of like that the crowd could be somehow, because it's like if you blow up the whole room, but the judges are like, well, we didn't think you won. It's like maybe that could be the knockout. It's like they used to have this in Crump, I think, where it was like
it's a KO where you can win the whole battle and
it's like you just even in the middle of like one round, like let's say it's like I'm battling Stefani, she does something and it's like I haven't even danced yet. They used to have this in Crump. Kill off. Where it's like she does a move, everyone goes mad and the judges go, it's that like they throw in a towel or whatever and they're like the battle's over. Like she took it, you have no, like there's nothing you can do to respond to that kind of thing. Wow. So it's almost like like a kill off, knockout kind of thing.
Floma do it as well. They have a battle, and the judges, they like have basically they put something on the floor when they decide who's won. So the battle one judge could see one round and already just be like, yep, I'm done. And another judge might make it go 2 rounds and 3 rounds. It's still a bit iffy, but you're still like.
But that's why I think the crowd would be a good. Because you know, like they have the volume meter in Summer Dance. Imagine they had that, but if ever it hits a certain level, like it has to be crazy. Yeah, if the crowd make that go to that level,
it could be.
No judges, it's done like or something.
They just they need a way to not. I mean, and I've judged. And most
that's an interesting way to say that.
I don't think the judges should have all the power
because it's almost like making it. It's like making it less fair to make it more fair. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like they need to find a way to because you would say that the judges should have all the power, but actually that would be the way that most people think is like the judges should have all the power in every sport. But what you're saying is, which is true, is they actually don't in a lot of sports.
Yeah, I don't know any sport where they have all the power. You think of tennis, you got the line. Yeah, the umpire messes up sometimes. They're like, no, it was in the line. But then they can do replays and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's the line we're looking at.
Well, that's the downfall of like the art sport thing is because it's like in art there's no ball that goes through the rim. There's no line. There's no there's no knockout. It's so just
we have to think of a way
expression.
But we have to think of a way to solve that issue because
it's
been in dance from the beginning of time. Look at the judges, and sometimes the judges are fucked up and sometimes they're cool. But no, without fail, there's never been an event in the whole history of dance where you haven't gone, what was that judge smoking? Without fail. And so we just need to find a way to give, because for me, it's like, it's a sport, right? You have to somehow give the athletes a way to say, I know how to kill this battle and take the win. Like I know if I do this one thing, I take it all.
And like say in gymnastics, it's like nailing a certain trick. You're
exactly.
Like, if I land on my feet after this trick, no one's touching me.
And if you don't do that thing, like in boxing, then of course the judges have to decide. Then we go to the judge.
So you're saying the judges should be a secondary
like MMA, like success. Boxing, like football, everything. They're all secondary.
That's interesting.
Because in basketball, if I score more points than you, I don't care if you gave me 5
The crowd can tell you who won.
Do you know what I mean? There's no sport that I can think, and I've thought about it, where the judges are put first and it's not scored on points. And where every sport, they're secondary. So if you lose, even if you feel robbed, everyone says, well, next time just score more goals. Just knock them out. Like you have a way to take them out. If you don't take them out of the equation, then you can't complain. But breaking doesn't have that. Top dancers doesn't have that. And I'm a judge. I've been in the scene a long time, but I'll say it. Well, I sit there and I'm like, I shouldn't have all this power.
That's interesting.
Like I just shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
There needs to be a way for Stefani to go, well, I'm not going to let Manny vote for me today. I'm just going to kill this shit. It's a wrap. I'm not going to let him
even
decide.
If you don't like her and you're trying to vote against her.
And then it's fair, right? Because then all her training, all the effort she puts in, she knows, you know what? Today is the day. You judges ain't in it. I'm making sure this is a wrap. And some judges will go, well, just kill it then. And I'm like, but you still will vote against it. We've seen it happen. Don't lie to them. We've seen events where you're just like, someone has the killer round from how, and one judge is still going that way.
The only thing I can think off the top of my head is either the crowd thing when you block, because like I feel like in the cultural side of dance, that's what we take as like when someone's going and you have the whole crowd jumping up on the stage, you're like fuck, and you have to battle them, you're like shit. So it's like I feel like that's like our cultural marker of when someone's won. Even if there was no judges, you'd go off like how much you blow up the room. Or also maybe with breaking, it could be like, could this be something about like crashes or something? Like if someone crashes a big trick, it's like you're done. Like I don't even have to go against you. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean. I think it's
something
hard.
like that.
My thing has always been music.
I mean, we're not going to solve it right now, but
But I always say, but last thing, then I'm done. Yeah, I always go with the music because I say the only time that the argument goes out the window is if someone absolutely kills the music, and it's the only time you see everyone in the room know who won. And I think if you because music is in patterns, you think the same. Yeah,
well, you were saying earlier about the music, like and
because music is in patterns, and we understand music. There is music, you can understand it. You could actually have a thing that goes, "Yo, we can show you that they killed the music. Like we can show it." And I think if you do that round, that's a kill off, and then you can go, "No, it's a rap. And if that judge goes no that way, I'm like, yo, this is a dance. So you obviously can't hear the music. So we obviously know now that you're not judging, right? Because that person, they went down on the right phrasing, they got up on the right phrasing, they hit the one,
almost
they
like
killed the instrument.
You did Guitar Hero.
They done like one round you done where you was like, you hit the bang on beat. She was going on the whole thing. There was a round I'll be done, because I saw you shared it, or Sheku's round that you shared when he was like, bam, boom, dum, 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 dum. I'll be done the round on the, and you look at those rounds and you're like, I need to see the other round, because that round right there is a kill off. And if you told me they lost it, show me the other round now. And if you just show me someone doing power or so, I'm like, it does not matter. The ultimate thing in what we do is dance. If you smash the music, kill off.
Not a bad idea.
Rap. Over.
Interesting. That is I mean, that is a. It's going to take a while to solve that issue, though. Of
course.
Like, because even if you went down, it's like, how do we even create a system for that?
Hey, it's possible. Or I could just shut the fuck up and do an event and do it myself.
I mean, yeah, but
put my things on the table.
Isn't that why we do like journalism stuff? So we don't have to do anything. We just have to talk about
analysis
other people.
As well.
Yeah, we just criticize the way other people do it.
Exactly. We're not going to do it. You do it.
Yeah. Okay, let's wrap, because this has been a long one.
Yeah,
but I knew it was going to be our last one. I thought was like super long.
How long was that?
I can't remember, but it was a while. Probably similar length. Well, yeah. So thank you guys for all being here. Super appreciate everything. I feel more excited for your journey now, because I already thought you were doing well, but now I'm like, oh, you are like actually close to being in the Olympics. Before I was like, yeah, she
could be in the Olympics this time next week, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Could you imagine?
So this is cool, and I think this is why it was important for me to bring that up. Is because I think it's like, for people watching this stuff, we want to get excited, but when it's so complicated, it's really hard to be like, yeah, Stefani, like before today, you might have been this close to the Olympics or have no chance of getting into the Olympics. I didn't know. I was just like, she's a good breaker, I guess. Like, but when it's not my eye anymore, it's about the system and all that. So I was like, I don't even know how many fucking points she had. I tried looking at the rankings. I was like, it looks like she's doing good. Fuck knows. So I think it's good for people to kind of try and get on board, and like it means that we can kind of be excited for you guys more watching the stuff, and even just having the Olympics and all of these like series of events and stuff. I've become way more invested. Like I said, like I know way more breakers by name, and like I know their dance now way more than I ever did before this stuff. So it's really, I think, definitely like shining a light on that. But yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks again for being here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. If you don't know these guys, definitely check out their work. Both dope. Check out Sofia, even though she's off camera.
Thank you.
And if you have time after that, you can check me out and subscribe to the capsule, follow all our stuff, etc. Peace, guys.
Peace.